minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
What is up? We're live. Later than usual, but live nonetheless. Glad to be back. Had that week break for your holidays. Not that I observed them. And we got a guest. Got Lorenzo Areola.
Hi, everyone. Hello.
I'm so glad to have you on, man. It's been a while. I've been wanting you on. Finally had the foresight to be like, hey, want to come on in a few weeks? And made it. I'm so glad.
Yeah, good to be here.
Yeah, no, you popped up my radar with your ISOM review. That killed me, dude. The way you just like kind of bumble through it. I feel it's like, let me know if it's not, but I feel like you kind of purposely, wrote or whatever, kind of like your lead into it, where it's like, yeah, this is like great. It's written for, retards without saying it.
I'm saying, where are the lies? Tell me if I'm telling lies.
There were none. That was great.
Yeah, very positive review, I thought.
Yeah, no, it's funny because you're like being positive while negging on it. I love this saga, man. Like, how did you come into the ISOM saga?
I'm good friends with Mint, and I don't know if you know her producer Riley. He's kind of a big. I don't know if he's a fan of ISOM. I don't know what you would call it. He has a crusade. I know he does, that he is going through, and I appreciate it. And I have nothing against this ministry, this international school ministry. But the way I see it, no one is higher than God. So if a guy thinks he's high and mighty, he needs to be knocked down a bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. And it's so funny how this has played out, because this all goes back ultimately. Initially, Vito being kind of like the one oddball negger online about and I say that purposely as a joke.
I'll say the hard end, the hard
yeah.
The hard end.
You know, and it's kind of like, what is this, you know, because like I subbed to Biggest Problem after there's been this window of him constantly being like pestered by Dick being against the Rippaverse from the start. And so I've watched it retroactively, all those episodes. It's like, what's your problem with this guy? Just read a comic book, man. Like, calm down. And then Nina Infinity, that dumb bitch, goes on with that stream of Dick and eggs him on. So he's like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I'll read it. And if Eric just like, hey, you know what? I didn't do as good as I should have. You're right. Or just ignored it instead of letting his fans and himself kind of talk around it. What do you think of this? This is something I've noticed and people have pointed out, but it really irks me, especially when Ethan Van Sciver is now obviously in the mix as a detractor. He always like unnames people. He's like a communist in his beefs. It's like, I thought you're like in the rap game and shit. You're hard, and then you always like can't name people. You know?
It doesn't seem very soft. He's very soft for one of those people, the gangsters or the thugs. Which thug I just learned recently is supposed to stand for truly humbled under God. That's what I just learned from a Young Thug trial, or little thug. The lawyer tried to say that thug meant truly humbled under God. So there's no way he could have threatened to shoot people or whatever thugs typically do, which is a crazy defense. But hey, you know, it might work. You know, we'll see if it works. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like this is the internet, so whatever you do on it, you're bound to be criticized by someone, and you should just go with it, learn from it if you can. But he took it really straight up the butt, like all the way, you know, and that's why I guess everyone's so, it's crazy, this like war you're having where his fans are trying so hard to defend him, but it's getting harder and harder to defend him because he's just doing crazier and crazier stuff, you know?
Right. Well, it's funny because he just digs himself deeper, and then he's like, oh, here's where ISOM comes from. And it's like, did you not expect, like, honestly, it's calculated. He's trying to, his whole, like, they went to my ancestor's grave. Like, that was so, he's ginning it up. He's trying to get sympathy, trying to, like, you know, make them seem like the most vile, heinous act. It's his Pearl Harbor. You know, and you see how it's really panned out for Alpha Core. It's just how long it took them over 2 weeks to get $1 million. Just creeping along. And you got to wonder if that's like, you know, Glenn Beck behind that, you know?
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I had because you know that when people like booksellers put out their books and then they end up becoming New York Times bestsellers. Yeah, they put out the New York Times bestsellers. It ends up that they're buying their own book so that it like racks it up on the charts. So who knows if someone within the company is buying the comic book itself and making it, oh, we're making $1 million numbers and trying to buy that hype, you know, behind it.
Yeah. So it's funny. Have you seen this newest thing that's been pointed out by Dick and EVS?
The tracing or
tracing? Yeah.
Well, first I wanted to mention like that whole $99 a month member thing that happened. Is that still going on? Where like the memberships?
Oh yeah, like he folded his Mac Club whatever into just Rippaverse-ness or whatever.
Yeah, and I was like $99, you know, and I thought, okay, a year, that's poking your eyes out, but not too bad. And then when it said a month, I was like, a month? What the fuck are you talking about?
And they hid it with the font. They made the font white.
That's
which
ridiculous.
is like clearly purposeful because all the other font is black. So they had to have knowing they would have got people.
Yeah.
Ooh, technical difficult. What? They're trying to do like, hey, get this risk-free 30-day trial. Just plug in your credit card in case you want to keep it, and then you forget about it when you use the month
I
it's
wouldn't
free. And then you're like, wait, why did I charge $99? Rippaverse. Oh God.
I mean, I would forget about a $6.99 charge to Uber Eats every month, but not a fucking $99 every month charge. Like, that's just
Well, no, but
I
it
don't
would
know what
get
you
you the
call it.
first time. The
Yeah,
first
at
time you
least the
forget,
first
it's
time.
gonna get you.
Yeah,
Because
and
you're coming
that's
the second month, people are like, wait, what? I already paid the $99 for a year. And it's like, oh, a month. Ah, damn. And then, by the time people have subscribed, and then afterward, when they fix the font, you already forgot. You thought you did it for a month or for a
those
year.
Indian scammers have more heart than that, like to do that shit, dude. Like I'm like, what the hell? Like there's if even if ISOM or whatever, what's his name, Eric July, were a hot chick and he was
It's the
posting,
same thing. Whatever.
even if he was a hot ass chick and he was posting butt naked pictures of himself on there, I would not spend $99 a month. I'm sorry, like
Yeah, no,
I don't know.
OnlyFans thoughts that are doing like the top percent are only charging like $6.99.
Yeah,
Maybe get up to like 15. That's like their max.
the most I've ever paid for an OnlyFans is $40 a month, but I only got 1 month, and then I saw all I needed to see, and then that was it. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't about to pay $40 forever, let alone like I said. And this chick was like, holy moly! Like okay, like that was worth it. The $40. I got my fapping out of the way for the month for that. You know.
Well, that's good. I'm
Yeah.
glad you're a satisfied customer, so you got
Very
what you
much.
paid for.
Very much.
Honestly, depending on how many faps you get out in a month based on the content, like it could be, you're really getting a steal.
Yeah, you have to really do it like minutes per dollar, the worth of it.
Right. If you're ratioing it, like I think about this
Mhm.
when I go to the movies or anything I buy, I'm like, this was like before taxes, this is like, all right, trip to the movies, that's like 2 hours of work. Was it worth it? And it's like, if I'm going to see like Barbie, 2-hour extravaganza, it's like, yeah, that was worth it. Like I literally got my money's worth.
Mhm.
And, it's for like a lifetime memory kind of thing. So,
Yeah, and
I quantify stuff like that.
you're part of a cultural event because you went and saw it with everyone else.
Did you do Barbenheimer?
No, I haven't seen those. I don't really get out very much to like the theaters. I don't like people or just the public. So I wait till it comes to streaming, and nowadays they come pretty quickly to the streaming services. But yeah, no, I haven't gotten a chance to watch that one or either of those.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because when I was hoping to see Oppenheimer first, because I knew it was going to be a cerebral film. I know. Yeah, after seeing Dunkirk, I know Chris
That's
Nolan.
the order you have to watch them in.
I know. Chris Nolan is going to be so cerebral with like the timeline. He loves him and Tarantino love playing with editing the timeline to give you a experience, and he's managing like 3 timelines in the like one story, interchanging these scenes and stuff. So it was brilliant. And he like layers it, where it's like you're at this stage of the thing, we're introspective about Oppenheimer in this part of his life, and we see it earlier, you see it during like the buildup of like the war, and it's great. But honestly, just aside from the performance that everyone did, just amazing, beautiful. It was very simple. It's a cancel culture movie, think of movies like Get Out. Stuff sits on the shelf. Like Get Out might have been floating around for a while. Then BLM happens. I was like, ooh, okay. Studios are, we need black stuff. Hey, quick, who are the black guys we got on staff? What's the screenplay we got? Black. We need it now. It's February. BLM's going on. We got a pander. And so, boom, perfect timing. Same thing with this. It's like Chris Nolan, especially if you watch like Dark Knight Rises, it's very clear he's got general conservative viewership in his person. So yeah, I think it was like pertinent timing. On top of he can just make whatever he wants now because he's such a name. But yeah, it's really just a simple cancel culture movie. It really wasn't much to take away from it, just besides seeing like insight into all the nooks and crannies of the guy made the bomb. Turns out he was actually, all eyes were on him for being a commie, and then they were on him afterwards for being a commie. Even while he was helping America.
Okay,
And
America.
then you watch, yeah. So it's funny to say this because Barbie was so thought provoking, so interesting. Like Ken, you've probably seen all the memes. Ken is this great takeaway. Is this like an egalitarian film? Is this what like feminism says it is? Was this woman being kind of turfy on purpose? How smart was David Warner's making their crap, and yet the most nuanced kind of binary male-female movie I've seen is from woke Hollywood about a girl's toy line called Barbie. It's kind of crazy. And the fact Ben Shapiro couldn't see that, being a fucking lawyer. He's not a lawyer, but he's trained legally. So you think he'd have some insight beyond his slant, but no, he had to gin it up for clicks. And yeah, you see all these takes about this film. It's like the Bible. There's so many ways to interpret it. And it's funny because I was thinking, was this woman purposely making a smart, blight of men in the modern day subplot? And it's like, it seems like she kind of fell into it on accident, because it's like, no, she was trying to make fun of men, but that was the most resonant plot in the story, was the plight of men, where it's like looking at the memes of masculinity and then trying to go forward with those juvenile memes of like muscles and money and big cars and authority and business suits, etc. Men run the world. We're in charge. And Ken literally usurps Barbie world, and it's still not enough to get the affection of the lady. He's still in the friend zone, despite climbing every hurdle to be the elite Chad. And that's the thing that no one talks about, like red pill stuff. It's like, yeah, do these things. These are the realities of female psychology and biology, blah, blah, blah. This drives them beyond logic. Set yourself up for success within this reality, not what they say. And even that won't get you the win. It's like, wow, it's so thoughtful. It's like, oh yeah, that was on accident. She really hates this. The director really hates the incel movement behind Ken and his meme, and it's just hilarious because it's like it's just like They Live.
Isn't that what's kind of going on with like people reading, what was it, like Saddam Hussein's manifesto or
Osama bin Laden?
Oh, Osama bin Laden. Yeah, reading like what he wrote, and people are like, "Oh, this makes sense," and then you find out who wrote it, and you're like, "Oh wait, like never mind." Like, I don't think he meant it the way. Yeah, I don't think he meant it the way we were interpreting it, but I feel like anyone can interpret something the way they want to interpret it. If I don't know, even people nowadays are just bending literal reality by saying I'm a woman instead of a man. Like that's literal bending of reality. Like
Ricky tried that on me. I told him no.
Like if you start doing that, then what can that, like, what can you not do? What can you not interpret how a certain way?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Because I know when I was a kid listening to System of a Down, I was like, oh man, these songs are cool. Everyone, it's about the Armenian genocide. I don't know. I just thought it was about fucking. I thought it was about fucking, sugar or whatever, or this or that. Like, oh no, all their songs are about the Armenian genocide. Oh, okay, my bad. Sorry, I just like their music.
Well, yeah, I'm aware of like the name Armenian genocide. I know roughly where Armenia is, like south of the Caucasus Mountains, whatever. But I have like no understanding of like what the ethnicity or whatever, if it's racial, if it's like a certain like allegiance, like Jew, I have no idea who is the target, who is the oppressor. Hello, Mr. Rainbow. Yes.
Oh yeah,
we will get back to that. We're gonna look at some tweets and stuff, but
my bad. I didn't mean to tangent it.
No. This is what we do, man. We get in all sorts of weird. We talk about religion, war. I'm a vet. I've been, not that I was hot shit or anything, but I was just a regular soldier. Been in Afghanistan. It's pretty chill when I went. I saw a little bit of combat. Got my badges. Provided care under fire. So I got my medic badge. But I have no like regrets. Like I did something bad, but there is like a hint of sentiment of regret, realizing what I served. You know, like you've probably seen the videos of like World War II vet or Korean vet, where it's like, what was it all for? What the hell did I do any of this for? I did this to protect America, and like, what is America now? It's trash. It's nothing. It's a meaningless. I have American flag on my wall, and it's like I don't want any other flag besides like maybe Game of Thrones banners or something. You know, some fiction that has meaning. But so I have an identity with the American flag because it's like I'm in this border. It's what I know, but I also know like it's really meaningless. Why have we fought in Afghanistan and Iraq when all the terrorists were Saudis and Osama bin Laden was in Pakistan? And they were really mad that we snuck in and killed them. So you start learning that stuff. You start learning about the weird, the fact that Pearl Harbor might have been rigged by allowing it to happen to get us
crazy
in the war.
Now looking at it like that, where we're looking back on it, and like even the history books that we were taught in school, where Columbus was the good guy and he discovered America, and now all of that's like not real. Nothing is as it was written or what we were taught. And so even with the war you're saying that you went to and all that, and it's like, oh, who was the heel in this? Oh, Osama bin Laden. And now we're like, oh, maybe he wasn't the one. I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, I think about the Taliban, China, Russia, like all these things that they're trying to meme and maintain the memes. Like these are the enemies, the Sharia law terrorists. They've taken back the country. This is a big gay up by Biden and his people that control him and all the politicians to whenever we're done with what current events on the news, the current memes, they're going to dig this up and be like, oh, yeah, we got to retake Afghanistan. We got to take it back from the evil Taliban. It's just going to gin up when the Boeing and everyone is low on funds, Lockheed, they're like, hey, we're not making enough military money. We got this new tech. We'd love to make a whole run of it for you, but you're not in a war, so you don't need it right now. This is what Eisenhower warned us about 60, 70 years ago. And I just feel like not that I'm like an enlightened one. It's very obvious, but to me, it's just like, I understand the like introductory level of like the military industrial complex, the pharma, agriculture. Why is cotton candy, highly processed sugar, why is that cheaper than a head of lettuce? It's to keep us poisoned. Our health system is not here to keep us healthy. It's to give us fixes after we're sick with all the stuff that they tell us to eat. The food pyramid was a big lie. They're always editing the pyramid. Like, oh, actually, you probably shouldn't have 11 carbohydrates a day. Maybe we're wrong about that.
The money's not in the cure; it's in the illness or the constant treating of it.
Yeah, used to in cultures like if you didn't like heal people in a timely manner, they might kill you as a doctor. Like you're on the hook for the Hippocratic Oath ideal implicit in medicine. You got paid to keep people healthy, and now it's topsy turvy. It's this is, and then you've got like Facebook, Twitter, everyone in league with the government to control us, to manipulate us. It's big scheme. It's wolves over eyes. It's all a big lie. I have more to say about that, but it's like it's in the ether. I can't quite grasp it just yet.
Well, to me, like, and I see all that too. Like, I really do, and I know you, since you served, and God bless you or whatever we're supposed to say to you all.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck.
Whatever,
it was a job. I needed money.
I can't. God bless you. Be with you.
Allah Akbar.
Yeah. But really, like, I see all these things going on. The government, they're lying to us, they're openly lying to us, they're doing this and that. But then I wonder in my head, why am I gonna like care so much when I'm just trying to make ends meet? Like I'm not gonna go out and protest. I'm not gonna try to change the government, because is it really gonna change if I try? And I've got other things to worry about. Just living a life, taking care of my family, or like I don't know. Is it worth me trying to make it change if it's not going to? You know?
That's what's crazy, dude. And this is, it might seem unrelated, but there's like this relationship, like psychologist guy. He's not necessarily red pill. He kind of hits back at some parts of it, which I really like the red pill as like a kind of generalized, conversation piece.
I just like pills. I'm
It's a
all about pills.
catch-all, of psychology, etc. But he did this video. It was kind of his insight into like what's the downfall of like relationships in the modern day or whatever, and he kind of tied it back, or maybe my commentary on his commentary tied it back to like, well, it's really like the car, and after World War II, rock and roll. I'm not saying rock and roll is the devil. I'm not doing that angle, but after World War II, everyone was just like communal. You met a girl within like a 25-mile radius. You didn't really move far. You contributed to the family. You're investing in your community. Everyone, like, whatever city you're in a borough, and everyone knows everybody's secrets and shit. No one's really new. You notice someone's new. You find out about them, then they're old, And then, like, you get mass automobile production, interstates. And now we got this new invention, the internet and social media. It makes it even crazier. And so it's great for stuff like to meet people like you and just, hey, we can talk, and I don't have to meet you. What, you in California, I'm guessing, or I don't know where you're at. I'm in Ohio.
I'm in Texas.
Okay. But roughly, same kind of journey to get to you.
Yeah.
We can close the gap with the internet. It's great stuff, but there's the counter of that, it alienates everyone. And it's like, we think we have options, so it's the whole swipe culture. Everything is meaningless and passive. And there's always something better around the corner, so don't settle, this capitalist rat race. And I'm not saying communism is the answer, but clearly capitalism, I think, has like exhausted its use, because we're seeing, this is what I was trying to get at with the Facebook thing, is like people in the right love the free market capitalism. The market sets the blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, what if people in the private industry, free market, want to help the totalitarian government? And so it's like, well, we need to make Facebook a utility that's regulated by the government. But it's really going to be no different than it already is with free market when they want to help the government control you. So it's like, there's no answer in our system. It's a lost cause. I really think capitalism is the blight. It's really the root of a lot of our problems. Western culture, much as I love it, much as I revere Leonidas and the Greeks, it has its downfalls. A historian talks about this. It's hard to maintain culture when you're so free and individualistic. You see the value of something like China, where it's like, yeah, they don't have the freedoms. They regulate their TikTok and whatever. They give you gaming time restraints, etc. But they have like a culture. Go to the store, look at your American brands. What is the iconography outside of, it's made in America, Oreo or McDonald's, whatever the case? After the fact that, it's American brand, what does that mean after that? Versus you go like a Mexican Kroger, all of like their memes, their serviceable memes of Mexico have a deeper meaning to the culture, the history, the sombrero, the poncho, the Mexican flag, which goes back to Tenochtitlan, which is Mexico City, the Aztecs, Our flag, it's like, who knows what the stars and bars mean? I don't even remember what it means. It's supposed to be like the blood, and the white means something. The stars, of course, the states. The blue is for a reason. But we have nothing unified. And now with multiculturalism, that's the catch. It's not multi-ethnic. It's multicultural. You can't have a society if you're multicultural. What is the culture? No one's in agreement. We're not all slapping the table saying we're going that way. This is America. That's the difference.
It's too diluted. It reminds me of like when you put too much ice in your Kool-Aid and it gets too watered down, where it's not even Kool-Aid anymore. It's just water. Like, more
I kind of like that though. Anything. Actually, I like watered down Kool-Aid. I've really lost my sweet tooth with some of that. So I just want the hint of grapefruit.
I know. And then also like a good example, like in my I guess the way I've seen life, or me personally lived it, is like I remember like growing up, I had a weird like fetish, right, for like, I don't know, Japanese women or whatever, right? and we didn't have internet back then, and or I did see a little bit of it, and you're like, oh, I feel
Dial up.
weird. Yeah, I'm like, I feel weird because I have this weird fetish. You know what I mean? And then because that's when the internet was whatever, and you're taught, okay, you're supposed to like a man and a woman having sex or whatever, or Sable, from the WWE, or fucking Sunny, right? Beautiful white woman. Anyways, so I remember like finding a community that liked the same fetish, and then I was like, I don't like these people. Like, like they creeped me out, and I was like, oh, geez, like, because now I'm ashamed of my fetish. Not that I don't still like what I like, but I'm ashamed of it. But nowadays, people are like embracing their fetish and like showing it out and wanting the world to accept their weird fetishes. And it's like, dude, I'm ashamed of my fetish. Like, whatever, like. And when I found that community, I was like, no, I don't want to be a part of this. But it's making people think they belong when it's like, no, you're weird. I'm sorry. Like, maybe
Yeah, no,
you
that's
know,
funny because I started reading this book. It's one of the, I don't know if you ever seen on Twitter the green lines test. Have you seen
no.
this guy? It's Alpha Rivellino. I'll bring it up later. He does like these quick memes where it shows like an older picture of Jada and Will, for instance. And it's like Will, I think's leaning in. He's all smiley. I think she's got the claw on his shoulder. She's got her legs spread open. He's got his legs crossed.
I think I know what
And
you're
yeah,
talking
he's
about
like,
now.
he has all these identifiers.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like, oh, look at where they're at. And you can see the proof in the history of their photography. There's all these pictures of Obama leaning or laying on the shoulder of Michelle, versus like Trump. He's always straight and got his cock to the world. The women are all facing him. He's the focus. Harvey Weinstein, same thing, where it's like it's great to showing the immorality, or not the immoral, but the lack of morality within the confines of like masculine dominance. And he even does it with like animals, with like a squirrel pulling a flower to itself, where it's like, stands tall, no hand shame, etc. It's great because it's like silly memes, but then like you read his like in-depth, threads, and it's so profound. Somebody said that, keyed that up for me, the fetish thing.
I don't know. Like I said, I feel like the way the internet, like you said, it's bringing us together, like us and people that are like-minded. It's also bringing around people that are like-minded, but they aren't ashamed of what they think they should be proud of it. And it's like, no, like you pretending to be a puppy, or you wanting to, like wear a dog collar on the streets. Like, that's cool if that's your thing. But just because you found a community that like embraces it doesn't mean, oh, I can go out and do this in public because
Why are you being a
I'm like,
bigot?
yeah, I'm like all these other people. There are a lot of people like me. And it's like, that doesn't mean it's a good thing, like.
There's a time where people wouldn't go outside in pajamas, but
Yeah, or when the
also,
gays were closeted, like there was a time and a place for that to come out, but I don't know, like it's I don't know. There's some things that should stay in the closet, like that's why you have skeletons in the closet. Like, we shouldn't know about that, or you should be buried with these secrets,
That's what it was. Okay, so Rivellino shared this like tweet of like key books to start reading, in this like amalgamation of like the things that have formed his worldview within the confines of relationships and sex and masculinity. And one of them was No More Mr. Nice Guy. So I haven't read much of the book, but I've watched his like one of his interviews on this big channel. And it was funny because like the whole start of it talking about, he's been divorced a couple times, and so he has like the practice with failed relationships to have his own insight, his failings, and then his successes. And he's talking about this generalized view to start the book about like sex is shame, it's fear. Think about the first time you had sex. It was probably sneaky, it was quick. You're ashamed if you're going to get caught. It's under duress, maybe it's hidden. And he's like, this is kind of the core of sexuality, and that kind of informs like the start of the book to understand like the mindset. And it's just like, he's really onto something with this insight. I don't know about the rest of his book, but he's definitely onto something with the like shame implicit in sex. Maybe it goes back to Adam and Eve. Maybe Adam and Eve is just in the nakedness is just written as an explanation for why we have like this inherent shame, like, oh, you caught me, like. But I think of that stuff a lot. But before we continue, I'm trying to get this worked in earlier in the streams. If you got a drink handy, it doesn't have to be alcoholic, but in the chat as well, you can join us. We do a little thing here called the Horn of Ceremony. So let's begin. First, we key off
the Horn of Ceremony.
We raise our glasses. We imbibe. Thus officially christens the stream properly and ends the Horn of Ceremony.
This concludes the Horn of Ceremony.
And that's that.
Awesome.
A little ritual. Thanks to Rookie. If you don't know Rookie, because I'm a cow channel, Black Angus. All rooted because I'm an AC/DC fan. Rookie for Christmas last year sent me a Viking horn. And it was weird to me because I'm like,
that's nothing you would buy yourself. It's
I'm into the Greeks, man. What is this horn? What the hell?
Like just get you a cup of Roman clay or something. No, like give you the
like,
Viking horn, man.
And then I realized, like, well, I'm a cow. Oh, yeah, Black Angus, I'm a cow. Okay, and so I figured I could incorporate it, but it wore out because it's made out of like nail. Horns are like nails, so they wear out over time.
I didn't know
warp.
that.
So had to.
It makes you want to drink out of them even more now, huh?
Had to decommission it, and so I ended up finding a glass one. But Rookie actually got me another horn cup, so I'm gonna incorporate it.
Hopefully, the cup will last longer.
Well, the first cup he got me actually had a crack in it, so it was instantly useless.
Yeah, I can't avoid their shit. Yeah.
I kind of wish humans evolved to have a horn.
A unihorn, like a rhino.
Yeah, that'd be badass.
I don't know. I like the classic like Hellboy, like Angus doing his devil horns for AC/DC. I like them like two from like around like north of your temple, and forehead coming out.
I think one would be less maintenance, and then it would, it'd be a good self-defense sort of thing, like to have a horn on your head.
Well, yeah, but if you lose that one horn, then you're screwed. If you lose one of your two horns, and you have one horn left, that can still get a job done, maybe.
Yeah, plus like missionary and stuff, makes it less.
But if you have if you have two horns and you lose both of them, like I don't know, it would just look.
No, Hellboy pulls it off. He shades them down. It looks cool. What are you talking about?
I don't know. I need to think more.
I was very interested to have you on until I heard your horn commentary. Now I'm rethinking all of it.
I mean, if you lost the one horn and that was on there, that'd look goofy too.
That's true. Yeah,
the one. Yeah, then you just have like a.
I feel like painting a target on the head as a target tattoo or something. So I'll shoot you there. There you go.
Well, maybe when we're spawning into life, if we could like have like the option, like when you're making your character in like Elder Scrolls or something like that, where it's like, how do you want your configuration? You're like, ooh, let me tweak my horn setup.
Well, I would think it'd be cool to have like the feminine have one horn and the masculine have two, or vice versa.
Interlocking, for copulation.
Yeah. Like the Nidoran and the Nidorino, the female Nidoran and the male Nidoran.
Pokemon. Yeah, that's Pokemon.
Pokemon. Not a Poke expert.
That was the first time
that one's turn into like these humanoid muscled things that can
that was the first time I ever really learned about gender was on Pokemon, when I was like, why is this one blue and this one pink and this one have a little cross sign and this one have an arrow arrow.
The rat Pokemon. Okay.
They have an attack called Horn Drill.
Yeah.
What is there a Pokemon you would prefer to have sex with?
There's probably a lot these days nowadays. I'm imagining the way that they come up with designs. There's probably some that fit the bill.
If I know
there's some green one that always gets tossed around that people are like, yep, that's the.
If I had to go with the original 150, I'd probably be like Clefairy or Chansey.
There's little chunky ones, but yeah.
Yeah, they seem
Wait,
like they got like dolphin pussy or something.
Ditto can obviously transform into shape-shifting.
Yeah,
It's a little
Clefairy.
pile
Oh,
of goo
wow.
turning into whatever you want. So since it keeps that blank
Uh,
face of its eyes, but
I'm not a Pokey expert, but I have to go. I saw a really great
just type
Reddit
up sexy
or
Pokemon, and guess you'll.
well, yeah, of course I'm gonna find. No, I've seen.
no,
I
don't
like
type that
But
up.
you'll probably
ruin
get
your
more
algorithm.
drawings of people them having sex than actual
Yeah,
results of the
you'll ruin your
Uh,
algorithm.
I saw this great screenshot of a 4chan post where it was like going into detail why Vaporeon would be the ideal sex candidate of
I could see
Pokemon,
that. I could see
given
that.
that it's like it's already lube because it's water based and yeah, just went all his details. Very interesting, like the actual like scientific thought he went into about having sex with a
His
Vaporeon.
thesis.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
What are you doing to get off work, Jim? Shut up.
I think Mew's cute, you know.
That is cute. Mewtwo's very masculine.
Ponyta, or what's the
Ponytail's the
Ninetales?
fire one, or
Yeah.
Ninetales is the fox one.
Well,
you're thinking of.
horses. I was telling Ricky, like horses are just like My Little Pony makes sense because horses have such like a nice defined ass, like it's a big ass. You know, it stands out in the animal kingdom. It's very interesting. I want to get your thoughts on this, Lorenzo, since we're talking about fetishes and stuff.
I think Vaporeon is a good candidate because I hear a dolphin is the closest to like a female vagina. Besides like a sheep.
Manatees were what a lot of sailors and whatnot, or people travelers were attracted to because it had a like hip shape, like a human hip shape or something.
Yeah,
under a certain angle.
but I could see like, and then I wouldn't want to do a fire Pokemon because they're always on fire. You know, like
yeah, but if it like,
hey,
no,
in
their
the
thing
vagina,
is like,
in the vagina, it might be like the like warm KY. You know, it gets the warming.
Oh,
sensation.
okay, yeah.
That you know when you're thinking of you're not touching like its neck with its flames or its tail necessarily.
I just feel like I'd get
tail
too
flame.
caught up in the moment and try to grab the hair and it's flames. You know, it's literal fucking flames.
Well, okay, I want to throw this out there. This is kind of conversation me and Ricky have sometimes where it's like, I was like, it's very interesting actually. Of all the animals that we like to fetishize, furry art, Rule 34, whatever, you don't really see a lot of monkey stuff, a lot of ape stuff. They're actually, I'm wondering what the mental block is on like a real level. Like, why have we never fetishized apes? Because they're so huge. We're literally, that's their closest relatives. They have such clear features. People mistook them when they first find them in the jungle. It's like, oh, is this like a strange tribe of humans? And then you have the whole racist baggage of science with evolution coming into the 1800s, and they're like, maybe blacks are from gorillas, maybe they're subspecies, But we've never really fetishized having sex with apes or monkeys. It's always like dogs and cat people, rabbits, pretty much any species that's, in Zootopia. Shakira's like antelope. You'd rather fuck that than, anything in Planet of the Apes. It's just really strange to me, honestly, when I really think about it. It's like all the things we could fetishize with all of our knowledge of animals. Certain crazy stuff like octopus makes sense because it's so anti-human. It's like maybe it's a strange, like monstrous,
like Cthulhu
mystery to it.
Cthulhu type.
Yeah,
not enough recognizable features that even dogs or cats might have comparably to human species.
What are your thoughts on that?
Wasn't that like in theory, or is it proven that that's how monkeypox started, or am I just like?
I know that was
how,
the joke about AIDS. That was
or
always
AIDS.
Like
AIDS
did come from monkeys, though. So
yeah.
crazy. I looked into a little bit of the science history of AIDS, and the thing is, most people don't know, most mammals have AIDS, but it's like species specific. And so it came from Africa from eating bushmeat, eating like monkeys, probably eating them raw. Or maybe they eat like the brains raw. That's a classic thing like India or whatever. They eat raw monkey brains. We're so related. I'm sure there's probably some prion problems or something like it. That's why you shouldn't be a cannibal, because it like will infect you. But yeah, it came from eating bushmeat, and then maybe a gay guy was involved with someone who did that. So yeah, like long form, it really affected the gays, but it's like implicit in like tribal Africa. So Yeah, but yeah, all sorts of animals have AIDS, but the reason it affected us because we're so related, just like swine flu. We're very related to pigs. It's
Mhm.
an easy, especially with domestication, it's easy to commune diseases between our species. We can take pig hearts. Clearly, we're related. This idea of like creation is, God ordained, blah blah blah. Like, well, how does that work when your grandpa's got a pig heart?
Yeah, that's a little.
How does it work when we're testing our drugs on rats? If we're so unrelated, if there's nothing linking us, I really get irritated with that stuff.
I do like those white rats though. The way they look with the red eyes, the ones that like are typically. Is that the ones they're tested on the drugs? They're like
Now, are you
white.
talking about like you just like them as pets, or you like to like fetishize them?
Like if I was to like since we're talking about that with monkeys and like I think they are kind of like you could sexualize that. Again with the monkeys, I think maybe we don't do it because it's too like human like, and we're
It's
like,
like our
nah, we'd
sister or
rather.
something.
Yeah, well,
It's like our
I don't
ugly
mind
sister.
cousin. I don't mind. Yeah, but it is like where it's too close. We want to like go weird. Might as well, and not go.
Yeah. Well, think of this. Um, art today. Anyone can just pay $100, whatever, for an app on the computer and start doing stuff digitally. Or you just get paper, then go on YouTube and learn how to start drawing. It's not really a feat to be an artist. Even if you're trying to be like a sculptor, you could be trained online. At home, be an amateur, probably do pretty well. But before artistry, just a few hundred years ago, and ever before, besides like menial shit like the vases we've preserved from like Athens and stuff, these are great relics in museums. They're priceless. But back then, that was like cheap shit. Those were like poor people making that stuff. That was like commoners, that was like a low level like
that's what they would
McDonald's job.
that would spit in to fucking like a little spittoon jug or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you think about the history of like intensive art, painting, especially sculpting, like on the sides of Roman palaces and government buildings, temples, they paid these artists with government money, to make murals, three-dimensional murals of people having orgies with cows and dogs and shit. Like that was state-funded art, and art was expensive to fund because you had to go spend your life. You had to like, whether it's pederasty or if it was just like, essentially a lifelong internship to maybe become a paid artist. You spent your life to train in that field to learn the craft. And the state thought, oh, this very expensive endeavor, let's have a couple guys gangbang a cow on the side of the temple. It's interesting. No one thinks about this, but it's like, I think bestiality was a lot more common in history. And so there's like a root. Kinsey, however flawed his research was, Kinsey found a lot of self-reported bestiality in rural farm people. That of course would not be common knowledge before then, because that'd be stuff you'd like brush under the rug, or it's that one guy, that weirdo got busted or whatever with his cow in the field. But no, it's like there's something implicit about like fetishizing animals into characters, or just straight, they would make stories of their supreme god Zeus coming to Earth and screwing women as different animals, cows and swans and shit. The mermaid, that's probably implicit with some sort of fetishization of whales and dolphins, if not based in like activity with these things.
And that's why I say like some things, like when I discovered like, oh, my fetish isn't as weird as or it may be weird, but it's not as uncommon. And then I'm like, I don't like these people that I might associate with. So some stuff should stay buried, like it doesn't need to be on your tombstone when you're, whenever you die. Oh, this person was really into, bunny fucking or whatever, like, like some things just don't need to be. We don't need to look at history and preserve everything. Like you're saying, there's these great, beautiful works of art that are I'm sure amazing. And like you said, they cost a lot to commission. They were done by artists, I'm sure, that were amazing artists, but they were strange art. Like, okay, maybe we don't put that in the front of the museum. Maybe we put it at the back of the book, or somewhere. Let's keep this one quiet and let's
No, it should
show some
be
other art.
in every school classroom.
Here's
my idea. You were talking about the
Mhm.
trans stuff. All right. I have like a chaos theory, and that is we need to quit the like libs of TikTok, Daily Wire, etc. All like the right wing geeks and gamers, whatever. Friday Night Tights will see like woke infraction in whatever field of life, and it goes to fucking 11 instantly. And it's like, it doesn't matter if it's like little shit like Batwoman, or if it's making a Hunger Games character a trans actress or whatever. Miss Universes being trans candidates. My theory is like we need to quit bemoaning trans interventions for children, etc. We need to like turn it up. We need to ratchet it up. We need to let it full bore. This goes into teaching too. All right. We need to stop crying about woke teachers with their pride flags and their mix instead of misses and their weird pronouns and indoctrinating the kids. We need to turn to 11. Actually, what I think is we need to, because Pride Month is when school's out across the country. So I think what we need to do is a second Pride Month during October. All right. And what we do, this is like a national bill. We fund this nationally through our taxes. We give all the normal, more or less, teachers just a month off paid, state funded. All right. And then we fund drag story hour candidates as teachers for the month of October for the second Pride Month.
Yeah,
Go.
No, I think it could work. You're trying to like overload you're trying to have it short circuit itself by overloading it or something.
Yes, because when it's like you're in like heart of Texas, like the reddest county in history, white as fuck, Christian as fuck, and then your public school's got a drag story hour teacher for the month of October, and you're all too poor to afford private school or homeschool, so you're stuck with it. When it's everywhere and not just weirdo like rookie critic country up in Northwest or New York or Chicago, when it's in every classroom, when it's at every store greeter at Walmart, when it's at every drive-through at McDonald's, and they're like, all right, what's your I got your order, what are your pronouns? And then if you have your fuse, they can't give you your stuff. We institutionalize this everywhere. We just force it full bore. Then everyone's gonna fucking revolt. But we got this like death of a thousand cuts. We got like Dylan Mulvaney in Bud Light. And everyone gets mad for a minute, but then at the end of the day, you go to a fucking Bengals game. All they got's like Miller or Bud Light, so you're gonna buy it because you want to get a little slammed at the game. So you don't really invest in your activism because it's like, well, this is inconveniencing me. So but once it like isn't everywhere. Because look, I'm ex-Catholic. I'm an atheist now, but I used to be Catholic, and I left for a lot of reasons, scientific inquiry and whatever. But it was mainly because I saw through this Pope. I'm like, this Pope's a fucking commie. He's going to undo everything. He's going to undermine. Pope? Yeah, Francis.
Okay.
And lo and behold, just a few weeks ago, they said not only can trans people be baptized, receive the sacrament of baptism, but they can be godparents. And it's like, what happened to the theology of the body? Like being Catholic Christians, of course, there's all theology of like, well, be kind to them, work with them to like find God's grace, help them pray, this is their cross to bear in life, but we got to like maintain our order. Trans is not the way. You're confused and you need help and guidance to find the Lord's light. Now they're just like, yeah, whatever. This is the first phase. I assume we're going to have trans male priests in the Catholic Church. and so on. Where you don't know where it's going to go. Like if that organization of 2,000 years, with all of its like pretty well confined dogma, can fall to this, what hope does like multicultural America have under Joe Biden? You know, that's my point. And it's like everyone's just going to lay down and take it. They're going to be, well, the Pope's infallible, so you know. And it starts with like that big corporation, and then it trickles down to everyone else. So my thing is like, no, we need to just open the floodgates so then people like have to decide. It can't just like tiptoe around. Well, you know, okay, that's there, but you know, as long as I'll tell my kids in private what we really believe and blah blah. No, it needs to just be institutionalized everywhere. This will fix everything. Open the floodgates, like in Ohio, they have this reproductive rights abortion vote or whatever on the state level since the Supreme Court kind of undid everything. And they had a lot of deceptive language in there, and they have like abortion in 2 different clauses. One is outright, and one is like coded language, and then another one. It's all about like age. You know, it's regardless of age and gender and this and that, and you know, they kind of sneak in like some sort of what can be argued in court, like gender-based care, regardless of age, which will undo parents' rights over their children. And I was like, you know what? Actually, no. I'm going to vote against this. Like, I'm going to vote for it because it needs to be here. We need more radical change, and that's going to wake people up. That's my thesis. That's my theory.
No, yeah, I think I didn't think of it in that way, but I feel like that's the only way that everyone's gonna actually wake up from this nightmare, you know, of like you know what I mean?
Yeah. This is a beautiful time to be whoever you are.
Yeah. No, it's a little too much for me, and you know, I'm sorry. I harken back to the days when homosexuality was a mental illness or an illness in itself. You know, they still call it homophobia, right? You're afraid of them. It's not.
Yeah.
Homophobic.
Yeah. I'm in this weird state where it's like I like the ideas of the American legal system that inform our culture and our opinions, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, you know, with capitalism, for instance, you know, it's like, why is this trans stuff such a big thing? Why are they like ginned up this controversy? If you can see the argument that they're oppressed. We're talking about less than 1% of people. I mean, it's ratcheting up because everyone can just identify now. There's no adherence to having to invest in any form of life to actually be this. You just say it and you are, you know? It's mystical.
It's cool. You could bend reality, like I was saying earlier.
But why is this going forward? Why is it such a big voting thing? Well, it's because there's money in it. This is an untapped, you have 100% potential customer base to get whatever treatments, whether it's cosmetic or hormonal or bone structure and organ transplant experiments. You know, they're trying to make it where guys can get a uterus, you know.
And you don't need the parents' permission, right? With these laws, the children are allowed to make their own choices at the age of what? 12, 13?
Birth.
Yeah, they're able to make these choices. So, and then what was the average cost of like a gender transformation, like mutilation, whatever you want to call it, in the
thousands of dollars?
Yeah, a lot of money. So if you can get that money, I see it as a really big industry, like you're saying.
Right. That's you gotta. Everyone thinks like, oh, the globo homo, it's the Jays or whatever. It's like, well, they might be a part of it.
They might,
you know, this whole like Illuminati. It's like, no, a lot of people just like are in power, and then they end up like kind of being from the same flock of college or whatever, families, whatever, or it could be ethnic, you know, as well. You see with the Banks with the Irish, but ultimately you got to think like who benefits. And it's like, well, who's making money? You know, there's a whole industry to. Oh, everyone, you got a mental. You know, you start with like you got a counselor in the school that refers them to the psychologist that gets their cut, that refers them to insurance, it gets their cut, it refers them to a doctor, then it refers them to recovery
Pharmacy,
industry, the pharmaceutical, clothing.
therapy, like physical therapy. They gotta,
That's what I was talking about, rehab and whatever.
yeah, like you said.
So, yeah, when you start thinking about just like pragmatic, like, if anything, if I was going to go to medical school, I would go to be like a trans surgeon. It's just, getting cosmetic surgery and then focus on just a simple, let me chop your tits off.
I was about to say, all you gotta know how to do is use a guillotine, just to chop the balls, chop the tits. That's it. Clean cut.
Cut the tits off, suture some veins and whatever, and suture the cut. And how much thousands have you made? And you just do it 2 or 3 times a day.
And if you want to reverse it, come back to me and we'll take care of that too.
Shove some bags of silicone in your chest.
We'll put some dominoes in your dick.
Oh my god! Wait, was that you that tweeted the domino thing?
Yeah,
for pleasure.
apparently, my buddy was telling me that's a thing they do in prison. Is like break dominoes up and then put them in their penis so that it adds girth.
Yikes!
And I was like, well, that would suck for the guys who like dominoes, like who play with the dominoes. You would think they only get like so many.
That is your advocacy, is for the domino players.
Some homie there's like, where the fuck is the double six? Like, what the fuck? Like, how are we supposed to play?
That's hilarious. So
I don't think they could just go down to like the Dollar Tree and buy another set of dominoes, in the prison.
Well, like make some out of soap or wood shop,
But you know what will save us from all of this that we're talking about? Woke comics. I think that will save us, right?
How so?
I was trying to segue into ISOM and
okay.
and the whole tracing thing that I know.
When you said that, I was thinking of entertainment, so I was thinking of like Ryan Long or stand up.
Oh no, I don't think anything will save us.
Really? Like that Irish
I don't
bitch?
think anything will actually save us. But I was trying to segue into I know you'd asked originally about the tracing controversy and all that. And yeah, I don't know anything about art. I don't call myself an artist. I'm more of a writer, but that seems lazy. To just trace over assets. But I don't know. I again, I'm not an artist. So I'm not very knowledgeable in how artists do their work, but I know my buddy that does all my work for me on my podcast, Retro Horror Inc. You can visit his website, retrohorrorinc.com. I see him draw everything from scratch. Like he may reference something to the side, but it's none of this asset tracing where it's like you see the same table in every fucking comic book. You see the same, like it's some sort of fucking what is it, like a neighborhood where they pre-build the houses or something.
Yeah, like a blueprint.
Yeah, or the same couch or a floating doorway elevator or whatever.
Yeah, I did think that was weird. I didn't pay attention, like I'm not an artist, so I wasn't paying attention to the specifics of like the shadows or whatever. And like, oh my god, it's even worse because I'm like, what the fuck is this? It looks like that image looks like a metal detector, but it's like, why would it be a metal detector to your own elevator in your building, to your elevator when you're upstairs?
And they could easily like move that. Like, there's a lot of eyes on this book, I'm assuming. Like, it goes through a lot of people's eyes in Q&A, maybe, so you're telling me no one saw that and was like, can we just scoot that back and make it into a plug outlet or erase it? I don't know. Like, I don't know how. And then to say like it's what was the whole thing? All I read from is it says on Twitter where it's like a campaign that was delivered on time, all this money, and then there's all these errors in it, and it's like that's not a very good quality product. That's like them rushing the vax or something,
right? Well, they're Brazilian artists, all right. So like when you watch that like slideshow opening with like the art I've had done of Meth Gator, which is the comic I'm trying to make, my arguably favorite piece, the one with like the red sky and the swamp, That was by Brazilian. I paid for that piece and the shipping. I think I paid $120. So like Brazilians are cheap because they're a shithole country. They have like no money. So like
Oh, you mean the
500
whole country in general? I thought you meant
$500. No, like, it's a beautiful. I want to go there. I would love to learn Brazilian
but I
Portuguese,
mean like you mean all Brazil? Like I
their
thought you
money
meant
is nothing.
the artist was named Brazilian. Like that's his.
No. The artists, the company, or wherever that he's like getting these artists from, are all from the same company.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
thought that
like it was
like
funny
the
because
person.
I think I saw a picture of it in their, I guess like thing of like who they've worked for, whatever. They have like Rippaverse, but it says Rippaverse. So it shows you how like cheap they are. Where it's like
Yeah.
usually when you're showing your credentials of like we've worked for all these great DC, Marvel, IDW, boom, Rippaverse.
DCUE Marvels. Just everything spelled slightly wrong.
Right. L
Yeah.
before the E, shit like that. It's like, yeah, yikes. No, it's funny because like I almost backed ISOM. I have both copies in my drawer I got on eBay recently, but I did read them for free a certain way before that.
The one I bought on like whatever see you next whatever rip the discount. I it's outside. I left it in the rain after I burnt it a little bit, and it's just like on a table in the rain because I didn't want to bring it back inside smelling like lighter fluid. So it's just out there.
No, like legitimately, it's funny because like Ricky backed it. I almost backed it, but I was like tight on money. I'm like, and I saw like a day in he made like $1 million. I'm like, I can't in good conscience. I'm trying to make a comic. I'd like to have comic streams with creators. And most of these guys, like if they're not doing the art, I know they're not making money. Whatever their like goal is, and they fund it and they send it out, they're not making money unless they're getting like a friend to do it for free for the art or something or huge discount. They're not making money. I'm aware of this because I know rough estimate, like any artist want to get to like try to make Meth Gators, say it's 48 pages. Just the art, I'm probably gonna have to blow like $5,000 on just the pencils and inks.
I mean, if you want a good quality,
Right. If I want a good, I could get some Fiverr artists, and it's like I don't want. That's why it's not happened for all these years. Like I got a few posters or covers done. I don't have any interiors because I want to like have the money to just be like, boom, give you an installments. You give me pages, you get more. So I'm doing it the right way of like getting it right, and I got to work with the artists because it's like I know what story I want to tell. I don't know how to do the imagery necessarily, so it's like I'm gonna do it the Marvel way. It's like here's the story, convey it through art for me.
Yeah.
But knowing that and then seeing these creators, and it's like I can't get conscious back a $50 book for a millionaire now, hugely successful for his goal. Versus people trying to make any money to start.
Was that how much it was when it first came out? Like
$50 with the shipping, yeah.
When it was first being funded, the first
$50.
God,
and then he did the $5 discount, and think how pissed people are. It's like they bought these like super rare versions, CGC graded in the slab, 9.8s, blowing $100 or more, 150 now. And then they're seeing on eBay for like $60 or less.
I've been seeing that too. Like I don't know. I wouldn't put my money in comics in general.
I saw them stock.
let alone that. Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say because I was joking about like Israel or whatever. It's funny because before it was like a couple weeks before Hamas kicked off in Gaza.
That small thing, yeah.
I joked about because Glenn Beck said he was okay. Here's what it was: Biden had some meeting with Netanyahu, and in his senility, he did the sign of the cross out of nowhere because he's just out of it. They don't have his adrenochrome or whatever they're juicing him with at the moment, so he's just out of it, and he does the sign of the cross. Now everyone's like pointing this out, going, "Look how senile he is! He just randomly does the sign of the cross." Glenn Beck's commentary. Granted, this guy's a Mormon, all right? So you think, like, in some ways he's more Christian than a common Catholic, which is a common religion. Mormons have, like, all this, like, bad juju, the polygamy before in their old ways, etc. They're a weird cult. They got a third book, all this baggage. his commentary wasn't, oh, look how senile he is. He's like, this guy does the sign of the cross in front of the president of the Jewish state. Like, he's offended on behalf of Jews when he is a Christian, and these people deny Christ. And this is his conservative commentary. So I joked, given that Glenn Beck is at least one handler of Eric July, that $1 for ISOM is $1 for Israel. And then there's that clip that what's funny is that clip you may have seen, like Dick Showed or whatever shared of the stream from like the Blaze subsidiary or whatever, where it's like a News Now or whatever, where he's like, they're asking his commentary about Israel, Hamas, whatever, and he tries to quantify it in the coded language about his fight with Riley and the detractors, comparing himself to Israel.
I might
Because
have,
Israel and I have a lot in common.
Right, yeah, he more or less says like, oh, I'm going through the same thing as Israel. These people are going to hate you no matter what. And he's like clearly quantifying himself without saying it. If you know,
the clip made it look like everybody else was trying to stay onto a topic, but he's like, no, I want to relate me to it. Hold on, let me. I want to relate.
He's trying to like code himself into like, oh, I'm going through the same exact thing as Israel, getting surprise attacked by Hamas. It's funny because I tagged Dick. I'm like, dude, there's a live stream. It's pre-recorded. There's a live stream with Eric. Buddy's in the chat. And so without me, like, would anyone have clipped this in the first place? It's like, whether people know, it's like I'm kind of responsible for this being a new joke on Eric that people saw. Because otherwise, people probably would have never cared to fucking see it.
I don't know. That's a stretch.
Crazy, right?
Yeah,
How self-centered this guy is.
It
compares
insane.
his like attack of his warehouse with $41 taped to it.
And
to
even
Israel.
even if he, and even if he had put out like a Marvel or DC quality product, that still doesn't give him like, I wouldn't even consider him Israel, and like, oh man, yeah, he is like Israel. He makes good quality. Like, at least put out, your priorities. Your priorities are weird. Like,
what was your favorite part of ISOM 1?
Honestly, I didn't like it at all. I
know.
know.
This is changing. The Marvel is scared.
Yeah,
right
is
now.
That is what was
What are you
someone
about?
Said, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm not a person that reads comic books. I watch TV, play video games, whatever, everything else but comic books, unless there's like big titties in it, which I don't understand, like how everyone can simp over a black dude who doesn't even like look that ripped or don't even have a big thing of junk, whatever.
That's actually a big misnomer. Rippaverse, and he's not ripped. What a lie.
He isn't ripped. He looks like a normal dude. Like, where's your over the top superhero? Yeah. Like John Henry was more ripped, I'm sure, and
yeah, the Green Mile guy. I want to say it's the Green Mile guy. No, it might have
Michael Clark Duncan, or what?
Let me look this up really quick. You ever seen Tall Tale?
Michael Clark. Well, no, Michael Clark Duncan was Kingpin, right? In fucking the first Daredevil.
Yeah.
It was Roger Aaron Brown in the film Tall Tale. Starred Patrick Swayze and Scott
for John
Glenn.
Henry.
Yeah, he played John Henry, and he's like playing a guy that's like competing with the Iron Horse or whatever to like slam fucking railroad ties into the ground.
Yeah,
and he loses
through the mountains or whatever.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's about like the West being conquered by industry, killing everything. But yeah, no, it's just a funny, dumb little detail to laugh at, Eric. But no, my favorite part. There's a lot of fun in these books. Like, I legitimately love these books because they're so bad. I tell people as a detractor, the worst thing that could happen for me with ISOM and the Rippaverse is it get good, like good writing. That's the worst thing that could happen. If Alpha Core is just like a legit solid book, like, oh man, like we're gonna have an issue 2, man. Like that character who's going through so much, and this is his internal conflict. He's got to deal with his team and leading them with like this evil cop Superman, and if that is good, then I'm like, oh man, sucks. But if it's bad, like ISOM 1 and 2, oh my god, like it literally is a good page turner. Like it had a good pace in my opinion. Where I'm like, all right, let me see where this is going. Okay, and this and that. But yeah, when you break it down, it's like this guy does not get like I'm not a comic reader. I have a lot of comics, but I don't read a lot. I like the medium though. It's a new medium. Comicsgate, EVS, they got me into comics at all, and it's a fun medium. It's like your limit is what you can think of to draw on a page.
That's true.
But yeah, favorite part is when he confronts Santuan the second time in the streets, and then he's like, "This cannot be tolerated." Oh, he's like, "I came to your hand with respect and was met with disrespect, and this cannot be tolerated." That fucking killed me, dude. And then Isom 2. I like to read Isom 2. If you read it, the character Gading, he's like a libertarian. I'm assuming libertarian, like Firewatch subscription. Essentially, he's like ADT. He's got like these like robots and drones and shit to help put out fires and shit for $49.99 a month.
That's cheaper than the subscription to the fucking Rippaverse.
Yes.
You literally have this dude fucking.
Well, the starting it's as low as $49.99 a month. It could go higher.
Okay. Equally
for more in depth. So it might be like, okay, we'll like be your Firewatch insurance if you pay $50. It might be higher.
Still no naked women, but sure. Okay, that's a little better.
Yeah.
More worth it.
I like to read Gading like he's like an android, that he's not a real person. And so
hello,
like,
Isom. How are you?
Yeah, like that, where it's like I've collected the analysis of the thing that's actually related to other superheroes cataloged thus far. And I like to read like that, where like his tone does not match the events going on at all.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it funny. I like to read Darren as like Cat Williams, where he's like, I've done it somewhat legally, somewhat not so legally. There's a lot of fun, but yeah, all the characters are really just Eric, and they're like different shades of Eric. Where it's like, all right, Darren is like bad Eric, and Isom is like ambiguously possibly good Eric. That was funny too. Is that Isom 1? You're like, all right, maybe this guy is kind of an anti-hero bad guy, or just on his own, doesn't give a fuck. That's why he quit. And then it's like, oh no, he's actually the good guy in his story. Okay. And the escalation from issue 1 to issue 2 of like, we gotta stop this like black kingpin in the streets from possibly whoring out women in prostitution.
No, just the one woman. That was the goal. Just the one. To hell monkeys, and like a dark side hell monkey who is like, we must take out the human, and the Alpha Core, which is like the 7 from the boys, but obviously like a deep state bad people coming into conflict. And then Yaira. Why are you saying Isom was created with it? No, I said it was traced. Get it right.
No, that's a completely different. That's a completely different.
That's why I said, who needs automation when the Rippaverse be tracing? That's why it's titled as such. I used AI for my thumbnail, but Eric, his artists, are tracing.
Yeah.
That's my
there's a difference. And it's kind of being proven out there with these people, fine tooth combing it, and it's funny to me. Like I said, like I it's not that I have anything against this dude, whether he's on the right, whether he's black, whether he's successful or not. I just feel like when people get too high and mighty, the way he's doing
it's fun to see people fall, even if it's not monetarily, if it's just like ego.
It's not that I don't want him. I want a lot of people to succeed, but when they feel like they're too high and mighty to not succeed, that's where I want to see them fall. Like, like you get too high, you think you're more human than human, or whatever Rob Zombie said.
Yeah, more human than human. Yeah.
Yeah. Then I think you need to you need a reality check. You need to be knocked down a peg and be humbled.
I would laugh if like this endeavor, because it's very clear he's like hemorrhaging money, and he's getting less returns for more expenditure every issue.
Because I don't think Joe Bennett, like the other artists, Joe Bennett might be related to that artistry team from Brazil, or whatever. But Joe Bennett, he did 50 issues of Immortal Hulk, so he's no bullshit. When I heard Immortal Hulk artist attached, because he got canceled by the Immortal Hulk writer because he did anti-Semitic art. He's from Brazil, so he voted for Bolsonaro. He did this art of Bolsonaro and maybe his lackeys as knights on horses chasing off these rat politicians. And so everyone's like, I don't know if those other politicians are Jewish because it's Brazil. So I assume they're all like Latin, but because the imagery has ties to Nazis and Jews, they instantly say anti-Semitism. On top of he did in Immortal Hulk, there's I think issue 8, there's like a backwards view from inside a jewelry store, and it says like Jewry. So he's done a couple whoopsie daisies multiple times. So yeah, he got canceled, and so like that was a big shot across the face. It's not like Gina Carano where it's like, oh, here's a washed up 40-year-old actress who's not done much and had minimal roles, and she put her foot in her mouth. I'm not saying she said stuff wrong, but she had really no authority to say those things. Like Pedro Pascal can call half of America Nazis and Confederates for being MAGA, but it's like he's the Mandalorian. He is Joel from Last of Us. He was the villain in Wonder Woman 2. He's got authority, versus Gina Carano. Like her standing, she's got like a billionaire stepdad in Vegas. But as her own actress, she's nothing. It's like Mel Gibson is not going away because he's like an authority. The only bad movie I would say he's done is Mad Max. His whole career has been good stuff, directing or acting. So you can't cancel this guy. He's just like he's a true actor and creator. Passion of the Christ. He made these anti-Semitic shots across the bow by including the Jewish. At least as the Bible says, they like curse themselves with the blood of Christ. Like may his blood be on our hands and the hands of our children. They say that in the movie, but they don't subtitle it. That was controversial.
Was good. Apocalypto was that.
Yeah.
Too.
God, dude, we need an Apocalypto universe. We need the sequel with the Spanish coming.
Yeah, that movie's fucking badass.
Why am I not letting Rook talk? Rook can intermingle anytime he wants.
Yeah, pretty much.
Meth Gator kneeling on Isom's neck. Well, I can't condone that. I'd be in the same veto situation. No, have him. On Isom. I was thinking of George Kirby. Isom's neck. That's totally fine. I'll make that if people like it and want it. If I have your blessing, I'll fucking put it in the back of the book.
I know I have my buddy that does my art, Retro Horror Inc. We're mocking up like a comic book that I had an idea for, and I've written it for years, called the Laundryverse. No, I don't know if I would call it that. On paper it's about a man who could do laundry, and that's a superpower because men typically don't know how to do laundry. If
man who can do laundry well.
Yeah, and so he's like a Batman-esque character, and in the first issue he's in. Just listen, hear me out.
I'm already loving it.
The first issue, there's this guy who is working for like and it has nothing to do with Isom. I swear to you, this has been written before. He's working in a warehouse, right? And he gets this he's working in a warehouse, right? And they make clothing like shirts, and they shut it down for automation. And so he's like, but this is the only shirt I have, my work shirt. And the owner's like, well, I'm taking that shirt off your back. And so he gets this ancient robe from a museum, like a Doctor Strange type robe, and he becomes Cotton Picker, who is like a wizard like villain who can steal the shirts off of people's backs. And if he gathers enough cotton and becomes 100% cotton, he becomes unstoppable. So Laundryman has to stop him, and he has a lot of tricks up his sleeve because he knows how to do laundry.
Put the gun down or take your shirt off.
He's got a lot of laundry detergent and fabric softener and all.
Does he
those,
squirt the like detergent at people like Spider-Man's web shooters or something? Like
Yeah, he's got like hairspray bombs, like lint rollers, and all that. Like he's like a Batman character.
Alpha Core is going to be incredible. Yeah, it's going to be incredibly bad. I can't wait.
I don't know.
I'm a day one backer, Rippaverse goalpost. Eric finally got my
Big
money.
Bon,
I
Alpha
felt like
Core.
he deserved it because he has entertained me for months with this book and its saga. It's bigger than his own IP, or well, actually, the International School of Ministries IP.
I wonder how much that's going to.
Well, okay. Here's my. I haven't seen. I don't keep. It's hard for me to watch YouTube consistently because I just got so many channels I'm subbed to. And then usually when I have free time, I just sit in my room here and play Rome Total War on campaigns. And I listen to either Roman shit or Biggest Problem. Maybe I'll catch some like Geek Getaway with his ISOM coverage daily. Which if you haven't, you should watch Geek Getaway. He's got this. I think it's Hell the Lore. No, not Hell the Lore. It's I can't think of his name right now, but Holding the Truth Hostage. That might be his name.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's voicing EVS in the streams. It was fucking hilarious. But I forgot where I was going with that. Total blank.
All the channels you keep up with and the information, Biggest Problem.
Yeah,
so you don't really watch
lost.
YouTube. So you don't watch YouTube much. So
yeah, I totally lost it. It'll come to me. It'll come to me
the
sporadically.
train
like
has left the station.
Yeah, that's what happens. That's what happens when I don't have paper and pen to like get myself.
To be fair, we just got off watching Attack on Titans. Like
yeah, I was going to confess.
We binged the
we
whole
like,
show in the last like 2 or 3 weeks, and I got to these last episodes, and it's like we just finished that, and it's like God, it's still on the mind in a way. Have you watched Attack on Titan?
No, I've been wanting to. I lately I've been on this crusade of watching all of the Walking Dead TV shows.
Yes,
and
yes,
I'm on the final season. I'm on the final season of the main one, but then I'm like, fuck, I got to deal with Fear the Walking Dead. I got to deal with the new ones of Walking Dead, Michonne, Daryl and Carol, The Walking Dead.
It's like I'd say take time for Attack on Titan after you finish the first Walking Dead series, because it's only a finite. Like Attack on Titan is a finite series, pretty much. It's 4 seasons, and you know you can probably get that within a month or so, depending on how much time you want to put to it. Each episode's like 25 minutes.
And I like that. I like when it's the Walking Dead.
As for Walking Dead's like an hour
long
episode each or something. Yeah, so
well,
it's like
dude,
these are all short little increments.
What's crazy is most people like. I saw the first episode when I was a kid before I got out of high school when it came out.
Of Walking Dead?
Like, yeah. But and then I think I started watching on Netflix years ago. And I got into season 2 and they're just on the fucking farm for like the second half of it. Just stuck on the farm. I'm like,
whoa,
hey,
calm
nowhere.
down. Calm down.
Going no, I'm just like, the show's going nowhere. Fuck this. And I just dropped. And then I started reading the comic, which I'm only like 10 issues in, 12 issues in, something like that. But I'm like, it was because of Invincible, and so I had like Kirkman on the mind. So I'm like, let me check out the Walking Dead comic. So it's so revered. So I'm like, damn, this is real. So I start rewatching the book of the show, comparing it to the book, and seeing the differences and stuff. I'm like, huh, okay, that's smart. So I watching some interviews of Kirkman as a producer on the show, and I just got full bore into it, man. I just was binging it nonstop, and I finished season 9. I haven't watched 10. Maybe I watched a little of it, but I haven't finished the show. But season 9, I think, is where you get the change in the guard, and it's like they get the influx of the women and shit in there. It's like, but no, Walking Dead's great because most people are probably watching because, ooh, zombies, yeah, zombies, and it's just like zombies are stupid, man. Zombies suck unless you're doing like 28 Days Later or I Am Legend. Zombies
Actually,
are
they're
really
walkers. Don't get that. They're walkers.
Whatever. There's in the zombie. Universe.
Here, this is gonna probably.
You might confuse me with Game of Thrones then, because those are also walkers. So,
but the difference is
watching
it and binging it. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is so good because this is like tribal political science, is what this show is. under the guise of a zombie show because people love like Night of the Living Dead and shit. I don't like zombies besides 20 Days Later generally because they're just dumb. You know, they're just, ugh. Yeah, I start thinking about the science of it. Whatever explanation you make for why they're zombies, if they're just walkers, it's like they're just going to die. Why are they eating anything? They have no motor function. They're not digesting shit. You know, everything's dead. They're literally rotting. So just the science of it pisses me off. But then the show Walking Dead kind of transcends that irritation because of the characters and because
I wonder
of
why
like,
you're an atheist.
because of like the politics of like trying to manage a tribe. And you know, Rick is Cincinnatus. He is this emperor that is elected, but he has like he does his duty. He the emergency powers, if you will, and he hands them over to the people each time. He does his duty, takes control when needed. He is the noble emperor. He's the good king, the philosopher king. And Negan and Rick, they're like Sparta and Athens. They both have their arguments for the way they rule. It's very interesting stuff. I really think political science should like put this in there. If they, I'm sure people probably done essays in their political science about like the politics of Walking Dead or whatever. It's very interesting. That's what hooked me to the show. And like survival, you know, post-apocalyptic society is very interesting to me. So like zombies are a great impetus. But then I think about like, I feel like, you know, if I put enough time in, I can make a better comic than this in the sense of, I don't think this Walker epidemic could beat the U.S. military. There's just no way. You know, I don't think even if like someone got infected and they're inside the walls of a fort, they're going to get put down really quick because it's going to become martial
You think about
law.
how much like one automatic gun can take down or one missile, just a couple of bombs take out a whole bunch. We're talking about that. Like, yeah, the amount of stuff you could wear to prevent from being bitten.
Yeah, just so many factors. Winter, rotting. I don't think it would be as cataclysmic as the show portrays. It's very interesting to portray that way, though, to see the fallout. But I just think it wouldn't happen. I think it'd get put down. You might really decimate society, like the Black Plague. But the Black Plague happened, and we have the Renaissance, and leading into the groundwork for what would become democracy widespread in the world. Because you took it, you had indiscriminate death, takes out lots of highborn people, and so it's like, well, who's going to manage? So you just kind of naturally have to like become democratic because everyone's kind of subject to getting taken out. So things like that come into mind. So that's the value I find in Walking Dead, is not like the zombies, but like the thought process. Like, all right, we're stuck in this scenario. We only got so much stuff on hand. We're on our feet usually. How do we get out of it? So like the kind of MacGyvering in the situation is interesting, but zombies themselves are fucking stupid.
let me ask you this though, because and this might age me. I don't know how much younger you are than me, but when I first got into The Walking Dead, it was when it actually first came out. And it was like all the hype, right? Everyone was watching it. And you had to wait a week for every episode to come out. And then you had to rush home and hope no one on Facebook fucking spoiled it for you, because everyone loved spoiling shit back then. I mean, they still do, but it's a lot. Back then, it was like, oh man, The Walking Dead, I can't believe this person died and that. And they're, literally ending friendships, deleting people off Facebook for spoiling shit, right? But now in this society where we can binge everything and where people want it all binged, do you think you didn't? I don't know. Did you start watching it when you could binge it and you didn't like it, or because?
Yeah, I think it was already bingeable, at least up to the point it was at.
Yeah,
and I just thought this is going nowhere, so I checked out. But then something came in to start rewatching it, and then like I was really excited to get to Negan because I knew Negan was a thing. I seen the Chappelle skit, and I wanted the full context of the skit.
You played Tekken 7. You played Tekken 7, and you were like, "Oh man, Negan's a great fightable, playable character."
Well, I didn't expect. No one warned me about the Governor, who is arguably a better villain than Negan.
He's great,
and I didn't expect a kind of sequel of the Governor as well. That was fun. the governor's very underrated. Maybe not in the Walking
Mhm.
Dead community, but just in general, the meme of Walking Dead. Never heard of him until I started watching the show. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
fuck, this is good. And I like pragmatic villains. Does what's necessary, but he's got his own like flaws. He just wants his daughter saved. And he's kind of so smart, sees everything, but like right in front of him, he's blind with his emotion. And that's good. It's humanizing. No one's really a villain in the show. Ultimately, they're all trying to survive, and they got their methods and worldviews, and it's all informed. It's not just like, Thanos is a great rare exception to general like villainy, because especially in the movie, because his plan is like, well, they didn't do my plan, and then look at like my planet's destroyed, my society's I'm the last of my kind. They didn't listen to me, so I'm bringing this gift to the universe in one fell swoop with my plan. And then he has the humility to actually destroy the power to avoid temptation. He's a truly religiously devout villain. He undermines the messianic heroes, so heroes are trying to like shortcut the messianic sacrifice on the cross for their friends. They're all trying to cut corners. Got to save Vision. Got to get the stone out of his head. Thanos kills his daughter. He subverts the John 3:16 of the Bible. He's this God who gives his only daughter, even though he's got two technically. He sacrifices his daughter for the soul to the one thing he loves, for this great cause that really does not benefit him. He gets no glory for it. No one's worshiping him afterwards. It's an unseen event as far as the world's concerned. But he's responsible. I love shit like that. I love shit like Negan, his worldview, the Governor, Thanos, the Joker film, of course, is great. Some other villain I'm trying to think of that, like, fucking Attack on Titan, dude. You gotta watch it, man. It's so good, because what's brilliant about it is, like, I'm not an anime guy. Like, this is the only anime I've watched throughout. And it's so thoughtful, because it could just simply be oh man, we got these giant humanoid things on the other side of the wall that keep us locked in this wall. And then they break through, and that's the impetus of the show. Of like, how do we gain our ground back? How do we ever get past this wall with this enemy? And then it gets so personal. Everything's earned. There's no Mary Sue's. There's a lot of calamity. It's death indiscriminate. Anyone's up to die. It's a great show. The way they escalate it, some of the thoughts in it. It's a deconstruction of nationalism, and it's not a like, clearly this is bad. It just deconstructs it and kind of picks it apart. Like, why would you go along with this, or how would you become nationalistic? It's great. It's a lot of people try to compare it to like, well, it's about like Nazis, and it's like, I don't know. It's kind of they're Nazis and the Jews equally.
Whoa, Don't say whoa. Don't say the J word.
Whoa, hard J.
Whoa. I know. I've seen all of Death Note. I liked Death Note when I did watch it. But yeah, I know I'm trying to get more in anime. Just because it is it's almost like a comic book. It's a good medium. It tells good stories. Any good story can be anywhere, and there are good stories that aren't anywhere, like Isom. But like that's just how it is, like you dig through all the dirt to find the gold, and it's out there. There's good stories,
Yeah, which is great too, because a lot of people are like pissed at the ending, which all the manga readers knew what the ending was going to be. I knew about the ending before I ever watched it. What's crazy is I watched season 1 and 2, and I really liked it, but then I just felt like I just didn't really pay attention to all the like little details and the depth of it. Everything like matters, and they'll come back to it. Might be 4 seasons, might be see it in season 1, then you gotta wait till the end of season 4 to actually see the follow through. But like so many threads are all tied up, thought of. They build on it.
Is there a baseball episode where they all play baseball?
Not all of them, but at least
there is. Baseball is pertinent.
Baseball is
to
a factor.
character.
There is a factor.
Oh, there is a baseball episode. Okay,
there's
a baseball factor to the story.
Okay.
Not and it makes a lot of sense, and there's hints about it, which is odd, and it in a way has plays into the finale a bit too.
It just comes out of left field, and
but it's like to
then
enhance the character.
it pays off.
Out of left field. I get it.
It's
There you go.
Oh,
good.
dude,
Yeah.
Hey.
I'm not
Well,
a
it's funny
baseball
because like
guy.
I'm watching it, and I'm just like, oh my, like I've seen some anime stuff before, but I'm watching this, and I'm like, this like does not do the tropes exactly. It fools you into what you think the tropes are, and like smacks you in the face, like whoa, what? Like in the best kind of way. It's subversion done right. It's adding like there's so much in there. It makes you thinking about like every time they answer a question, there's seriously like more questions about stuff that make it more interesting. Like it starts out with such a small world. You're literally in the walls, and you know as much as they do. They don't know that much about the outside or what these other creatures really are, what the point is. And throughout the whole show, as they learn about stuff, you learn about it. It just it widens up, and we're only on Earth. As to where other anime goes to like other planets and the galaxy, and sometimes it's cool depending on what it is. But this is also confined to an island, basically, and then on to little other places. But it's like this is so fucking good.
Game of Thrones level show. Honestly.
Yeah, like if we were to have any anime be live action, man, this one would fit perfectly in the Game of Thrones style.
It's a show that what it presents transcends. Like it could just be a show about there are monster people outside the wall, and it's death indiscriminate, and so we don't know how to get past it. It's like a never-ending horde, and it could just be the show, and you're like, whoa, man, it's so cool. They're doing essentially Spider-Man-ing with this like tech on their backs that like zip lines them everywhere on buildings. That could be the show. That's all it could be. That's all it had to be, and it would be a great anime for most anime people probably. But it's like so thought provoking the way they escalate, and it's a lot of I wouldn't say it's not necessarily like a political theory like a Walking Dead thing, but it's got politics that like matter, are interesting.
There's so many ideas being presented, and
yeah,
like,
it's fucking crazy.
The main character says a lot of things that you'll probably disagree with here and there, and there'll be other characters that counter him, but nobody's entirely right. But it's like, well, what is the most logical thing to do in the situation, or why would this character do this at all? It's like, oh shit, damn. And then by the time you get to season 4, a lot of the threads are finally answered, and then they skip over to something else for a while for a few episodes. It's like, wait. No, we just had all that stuff there. Nope, here's new characters.
Yeah, season 4 is jarring.
And it's just like, oh, and then the way they combine it back to the other story threads, it's like, I don't see this because it's ballsy. And then looking back, we can hear how a lot of people were reacting to it when it was active and like live. People were angry about a lot of things, apparently, like all the wait time between the stuff, or why are we on these guys and not on these other people? That's where we left off. What the heck? And they're like, and some of them don't like how it gets more complex. When it doesn't really get more complex, you just learn more about what's there. Nothing changes too much about the world other than you just discover what is there, essentially. Like in the real world, if you go out further, you discover more places. That's essentially all that happens here. Just you discover the truths that are around.
I feel like that's the best way to do a story is to kind of confine it and let the world kind of build itself and not try to build it so much. Kind of like I think of like The Thing, the movie, like where you're in one location the whole time. Yeah, you're in one place the whole time. And I don't know. There's a good way to like limit yourself with that and not have $5-6 million of a budget for your comic book, and then try to build this like grandiose world where it's like it'll be continued in part 2 and 3, even though we don't guarantee we'll have a part 2 and 3. Let's just.
Oh shit! Okay, I know. One thing I was gonna mention. This be rounding back to a tangent. The Iceland thing. I want to know how the lawsuit's going.
Oh yeah,
that's why I was talking about the YouTube thing, and I don't watch much. So I have to see clips on Twitter to investigate. So I haven't watched Ricada since like his debacle with EVS and Eric and whatever. But I saw there was a continuation by the pursuing party, the ministry. And it's like, wait, they have Eric on the ropes.
It's
they
like
have Eric on the rope. So
a
why would
wrestling
they
faction.
delay? Why would they delay the case that they clearly have a real argument about IP infringement, about trademark? And my thought is, Alpha Core is introduced in ISOM, and now you got Alpha Core making $1 million at least, and then Yaira is also introduced in ISOM. And so the longer they can delay this, the more money they can get off of Eric, because all of his shit is related to ISOM 1. Even though it's a Rippaverse, this is all shit that got money and has eyes on it because the initial ISOM name of his comics universe. So that's my theory of why they are electing to delay this. You could
You
argue,
think
oh,
they're
they're
just
actually
gonna abandon ship on that? Like, just forget about ISOM and go full Alpha Core or Yara or whatever the fuck those Viking metal bands.
Norfolka. Isn't
I
that such
think,
an
what the fuck
awesome
is
band name for like white space Vikings, aliens? Norfolka.
I'm like, dude, I don't know. Like I told you about my laundry character, and this is me joke. Like it's real. I wrote it, but it's a joke, and it sounds better than these like ideas that are like, oh, we're really building a universe around this, and it's like,
Knock off Captain Marvel and yoga
yeah,
pants.
like, come on. Like my second villain is Static Clean when he fights, a guy with all electricity powers.
He's a fabric. What do you call those? The dryer sheet? Is that his
Yeah,
power?
he fights Static Clean. I've already built 5 issues. Like he fights Static Clean, and then the next one he has a girl named Taylor who uses a silk scarf, and she's called Silk.
Does
And
she
then you
work
have
at Taylorsville like the Taylor of
she's his
ISOM?
she's his Taylor. Like no, not Taylorsville. Is that really what the name was? Taylorsville.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my
I
Or is
said
God.
that sounds like in like Transformers they call it like Transformium or Unobtainium
Oh
or
my God. How
things
do you
like it's a
take that
placeholder name.
seriously?
It's a placeholder name. They're like, just run it, whatever.
It's a parody. That sounds like a parody. Like
Well, it's
I'm
like, and
literally
I wish that they'd run with it because that'd be if they owned it. Like, yeah, it's like supposed to be a silly name. They had the Texas War, and now they have silly names for towns. Like, I don't know.
The Texas War.
that's literally like parody. Like just how do we take that seriously?
The
Like,
Infinity Cones in Thor 4.
Well, that was a fun tongue in cheek. You can totally see that in a
No,
comic book.
in the universe though, the characters I don't see that. But yes, in like a meta, yes, I could see that is funny. But like for us,
I can see that in the background of a comic, but it's like, really, you're making a joke of the blip? That was
and then
like catastrophe.
in part 4 in Laundryman he fights Leatherfist, a guy with fists made of leather who's a boxer, and then in part 5 he fights a corporation called Stained, which is kind of like what is the one in Marvel, the corporation that Nick Fury's part of.
Shield.
Shield.
Yeah, it's like Shield.
Oh,
It's called
okay.
Stained. It's called Stained.
What does the acronym stand for?
I don't remember. I wrote it down somewhere. It's been so
Okay.
long. Like I said, it's called Stain or something.
It's so
Stained.
funny watching like Iron Man 1 where he's like trying to say the acronym's full name for Shield, and then like she's like, oh, she says it back to him.
Strategic
Like, oh, we're
Homeland
calling
of
ourselves Shield
Intelligent
now.
Yep.
What do you think?
Do you have
Yeah.
like Tide Pod grenades or something like?
Yeah, there's like a lit, like the stuff like that. What is it called? That stuff they spray on your clothing to make it harder. But like he had bombs like that where it would harden the clothing.
Okay.
Like I don't know, and then like irons as weapons, to iron out stuff. Like no, my polyester isn't 100% cotton. It's invulnerable to you, cotton.
He had to have a
picker,
character use bleach or something. Like no,
and
I can't get away from no.
Wait,
That's one
were
of the
you saying?
villains,
Were you
too.
talking about starch?
Yeah, starch. the
Okay,
stuff
well,
you
because
spray.
I work in a factory and we have like flame retardant suits, like uniforms, and
Mhm.
so if you like burn patches or whatever, they like have some sort of goo that like they smear on it to like replace the fabric that you burned.
And then like you're saying bleach, that's like one of the villains at the end that's actually his wife that's trying to and she looks like Storm. You know, like she's half white, half whatever, because
Of course.
she's mutated with the bleach chemical, so she's like toxic.
That's perfect.
Yeah, it's a parody. It really
Is
is.
there any
make
like
this-
is there any other magical shirts that give them any type of other powers or something? Like
No, that's the most outrageous it gets. Otherwise, it's pretty grounded. in
You need a
reality.
Jewish character that, like, attacks. He's a villain because there's like the whole Bible code in the old, like the Torah, or whatever, about like you can't have mixed garments. It's like a sin for them or something. They can't have mixed fabrics.
I do have, if I were to continue it, it would be this person called the person who does tapestries, and they do a tapestry of time, and they unravel the time and fabric of space, and so they're able to change every, like the time is like a fabric, and you can mend it however you want,
Dude, you should read. So Brian Michael Bendis, famous Marvel writer, he did like House of M. He's behind like what led up to like Civil War and shit. A lot of big events in like the 2000s Marvel, a lot of cool stuff. Before him, they had to like wrap up storylines for like Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, I guess Hulk as well, probably somewhere. And so that's where you get God King Thor. Once it's God King Thor, so he like supersedes what the status of Odin was. Looks out both eyes to like reach this power level, and it's cool because he's like going through all this calamity and stuff, going through these different places and like different realms of Asgard or whatever, and he ends up like facing like there's like this council of gods. And they're trying to like buy him to like, hey, we'll give you a seat on our council or whatever. And they just like watch, they do nothing. They're like gods for the gods. So they're like in another realm above them, whatever. And he ends up like finding like Ragnarok and whatever is just like a loop. It's eternal. There's always good, but like Thor gets the power to undo it. So he like severs the like string of time, or whatever. It's like a fabric, it's like a tapestry. Everything's already predestined and it's going to always happen repeatedly. And he undoes it. So it kind of makes everything mortal, more or less. So it's like 6 issues. You read that, maybe get some ideas with your idea.
Yeah, no, definitely. I always look at like, especially with the boom of comic book movies, because I remember when I first had this idea, it was years ago, and it was just to think of like, oh, what's like a Batman like character who, what's a power? Oh, a man that can do laundry, because men don't typically know how to do laundry, but it was really just to poke fun. But I don't know how.
I feel like he can also be a vigilante that like goes into other people's houses, and before the wife gets home and the husband that's already tried to do the laundry and failed, he saves the day and folds the laundry properly for them and bails them out of that one.
He gets the lipstick stains off of someone's shirt.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, before you get in the house, hold on.
Yeah,
here you go.
You didn't mean to kiss her, man. I saw it. She goes all over you. I want to save your marriage.
I'm all out of Lysol. Somebody give me a refill.
I need club soda.
That's interesting. Yeah, you can make like
I've got to MacGyver this.
You could have like an adulterer aiding and abetting laundry character.
He has a boy wonder that has a washcloth or something, and he's like, I'm gonna clean up a little bit after you, sort of.
Lady Tide, I don't know, like a sidekick, like it's
just
crazy how.
Yeah,
no, it's crazy how much you could build off of just laundry, and that, to me, that's like I said, like how hard is. I'm not saying how hard it is to build a universe, but it's like if you're gonna do a comic book like this, some dude. Like make it interesting, over the top. Like I don't know.
You got some smell come into play
with
it as well, because you can have different fabric smells and whatnot with clothing and doing the laundry smell, and it either like can lure people or just have them disdained away because it's so strong, knock them out or something. Like
chemical warfare. Yeah,
it's like chloroform them from far away.
You could
down.
You could do something where you have this initial arc of issues, and then you do like a really serious one off of this initial parody character. And it's like, think of like Spider-Man having to deal with, is he responsible for killing Gwen? That was like a huge thing in comics in the 60s. Was like, well, Green Goblin apprehended Gwen to put her in a situation for Spider-Man to have to try to save her, and arguably whipping her neck or snapping her neck or hitting her head or whatever in trying to save her, and he feels responsible. Ultimately, it kind of is on him for being Spider-Man. He has culpability, and that's the moral dilemma for Spider-Man, because it's like, well, the villain did all this, but why he put her at risk by being Spider-Man. Something like that, but with like the Tide Pod idea.
There's like a shirt stain that he cannot get clean yet.
No.
Him throughout the season.
You're being too silly. I'm giving him a like churched up serious angle with his laundryman, and it is the Tide Pod epidemic. Like, make your character like after he's like built himself as this like laundry Batman, he ends up making like a cool laundry corporation as like his Bruce Wayne character, his Wayne Enterprises, his alter ego. And so then it becomes like, well, this crate makes you just pop in the laundry and everything's solved. But oh no, there's a not TikTok trend of Tide Pod eating, and so he's got the stains of laundry detergent on his
They all
hands.
think they'll get his same powers too, and so they think
How is he
culpable? The Tide
culpable?
Pods will help, and
That's
nope.
crazy that's grounded in reality. What you're saying, like that legit happened in reality, where it's like, oh, that's too comic booky. No, that really happened.
Not more than to add on that, like some random guy goes and washes his shirt, but his wife thinks that no, you're sleeping with somebody else. You had that guy clean it for you, huh? Like last time. So it's like, no, that wasn't me. No, I cleaned it myself. Liar. It's just like you're tearing us apart. You don't know it's real anymore.
There's so much you could. I'm saying I'm not saying it's easy to build a world, but like put more into it. Even I'm putting
you actually like what you're doing.
Yeah,
it's fun. You are going to
have
cool
passion
stuff.
in my parody. Like this Eric July doesn't look like he has any passion in his own character. He can't even tell his favorite part or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, that's the one thing that definitely comes off, unfortunately, is like, there isn't. That's one thing that I'd want to see is like, where is the passion for it? I mean, you'd think that he'd talk about it all the time. Like, EVS talks about Cyberfrog all the time, or, he has for the most part over the years.
He talked about
or
fucking
Rainbow the Brood, and he hasn't even
his
made that
tongue.
yet. Like,
I sent a super chat joke about like, what's your favorite part of Cyberfrog or something like that after the whole initial debacle between him and Eric. And then he went on for like a 5-minute tangent about like the powers of Cyberfrog, and he's like, with his tongue he can lift like this much weight and this and that. And I was just like, oh, I just sent a joke. I never expected like in-depth like
an actual answer.
Explanations, and it's like, this is the difference. You can say all this stuff about Eric EVS is late and it takes forever to fucking send his books out and blah blah blah, and
I finally got his action figures, or some of them. So
are you gonna put that in a jar?
I'm gonna do stop motion with them.
No, when he sent me pictures, like, oh, I got this, and I'm like, it's out of the fucking package now. No, yeah, it's worthless now.
Put it in a jar and leave it on your water heater.
I don't decorate with stuff.
No, I was joking.
It's all for stop motion for me. Try to make something out of it with like a video.
That's what I was gonna say about, like, you're talking about the fetishes and hating people in the groups, whatever. It's like, I'm not a pony guy, but it's like, I definitely see the appeal of My Little Pony for fetish. But then it's like all the weirdos are just like, I'm never gonna hang out with anyone like this.
Yeah.
Thank you for the art, but like, never talk to me.
No, let me tell you, I like pop music a lot. Like, I really do, like girly pop music that they probably cry to. I really like it. Maybe it's my age or whatever. And I went to a Melanie Martinez concert. I don't know if you know about her, but her first album
sounds familiar.
The first album that she put out, it was called Cry Baby, and it had a lot of like her in a crib, in a baby outfit, blah, blah, blah. And I went to her concert here in town, and there was a lot of dudes my age with baby bonnets on, with fucking pacifiers in their mouth.
Oh my God.
And they were going full blown like into the fandom. And I'm there in what I'm basically wearing right now, a red shirt and some jeans. And I'm like,
the most professionally dressed at the event.
I was dressed like a dad at this event. Like, and I loved it. I love her music, but the fandom is where I'm like, eesh, this is that's where I'm getting at. Like, I mean, like,
it's okay to have some things private.
Yeah, like, you don't need to. This isn't like a dress to impress event. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like that's where the world has gotten weird. Nobody feels like keeping anything a secret anymore. Just like keeping it to yourself. It's like, no, everybody has to know everything about me ever. It's like,
Yeah,
we don't know. We don't need to know everything about you. We really
well,
don't.
and then but then they're proud of it too. You know, like there's one thing if I let you know these things about me and I tell you, but I'm ashamed of them because they're kind of weird. And then you tell me like nah, it's cool, no, whatever. But these people are like, I'm proud of it. I'm proud of coming in a jar with Rainbow Dash and leaving it on my fucking water heater. I want everyone on Reddit to see what goes down with it.
Yeah,
You know?
no, I know what you mean, because it's like, I think back in the day, I think people felt shame for it. Like they know that they like it themselves, and they're gonna do it in private or whatever. But like out in publicly, they'll try to have a better persona than what they see themselves as. So, like they'll usually work a little harder to be seen as definitely not what you.
Yeah, it's the id and the ego and the super ego. You got your
strange.
You got your levels of personhood and what you have like your the whole idea like you're a stranger to like even your closest relatives and loved ones, unless it's like super in depth. You know, full trust. You might reveal your true self to someone, but you always have like secrets.
Well, and now you call someone weird for it, and they're like, "That's hurtful. You're hurting my feelings. You should be canceled or something," you know. And it's like, no, you shouldn't be a naked man in a gay parade around kids, or you know, I don't know. There's stuff like that where it's like,
do you think it's some type of like connection to like social media and how people want to have likes and like attention on things? Like people have the compulsion to post pictures because it's like, people look where I was, huh? You know, compared to like printing a picture and having it in your book and show people when you feel like it back in the day. Like
it's like
it's got to be some weird social.
Yeah, no, used to, you know, it was like a rite of passage to, you know, snag your first Playboy from your dad's stash, you know, and go behind the barn with your buddies and, ooh, look at this naked lady, ooh, you know. And now it's like on my Twitter feed, and like I elect for it, you know, but it's like the fact that it's like I can just get on social media, and like used to, like you had your Facebook, and then you had to go search for your weird stuff outside of Facebook.
Now it's honestly just there half the time.
Now it's like I scroll. I have to like make sure my normal Twitter page, like I'm not like looking at Twitter with people around me, because I'm like, all right, yeah, here's like Air July crap, here's EVS, there's like someone gaping their asshole.
You could be on your business account following business accounts.
Well, it's funny because like legitimately
pictures, and
I try to like curate my Twitter following where it's like only I have like a porn Twitter that's secret, no one knows about it. It's just for that. And then I have my normal Twitter where it's like, all right, there's a couple like key models that if somebody had a lot of money, I'd love to pay for them, like a cosplay cover for a comic or something. You know. And it's like nicely, okay, let's leave them a like, whatever. Never said their OnlyFans, but it's like, I like them. Maybe they make great cosplay or something that's, you know, lewd but not nude, whatever. You know, I try to keep cute, but then they'll like those couple people I actually follow will share all these other thoughts on OnlyFans, and so I'm seeing all this other shit. Like, why is this? No, mute or block these people, because it's like, well, no, you're definitely not hot. Block.
No, yeah, I'll definitely share like, you know, a couple of OnlyFans girls like Mint Salad that you know, I'm friends with, I do show with, or this other girl that I've interviewed, you know,
Dalish, whatever.
Yeah,
I was scrolling on your feed. I mean to watch some stuff. Yeah, Dalish.
Yeah,
I've definitely seen some of her videos before I ever knew she would get on YouTube with someone, and I'm like, that's fucking. How did that happen? I was going to ask you, how'd that happen?
Dalish.
Getting a Dalish for streaming.
No, I guess she just liked my content, maybe with Mint Salad, and she was like, hey, you know, you want to do a video stream or whatever? I'm like, yeah, sure. You know, like I don't know, I don't mind. Like even you reached out to me. I was like, yeah, sure. You know, like I'm pretty open with doing like shows or creating content. You know what I mean? Like it's
had
fun.
An interesting clip I saw on Twitter. I don't get to like deep dive your stuff. I've like scrolled your stuff. I'm like, I'm gonna watch some of this stuff soon. But I saw a clip you shared, the AI thing with Mint. That was so interesting. Where you're like, oh, I just plugged in emotion, and this is what it pooped out. On AI. That was so interesting.
Yeah, I try every time we do a show about a movie. We've done, I think, 15 or 16 of them. I'll try to have a game for her to play, and for that one, it just happened to be, I don't remember what movie we watched, but I was like, oh, I'm gonna plug in different emotions into AI. Just, hey, draw me what you think this emotion looks like, and this emotion, and that was the first picture it popped up. Whatever I showed her, and it was interesting. She really liked it, and it was a fun guessing game. But yeah, we just have like different games on there for the show, like at the end of the show, just as a added on something. But yeah, sometimes we'll accidentally fall into like interesting topics or interesting, things to talk about.
Well, that was good stuff, man.
Yeah, but I know, like, as far as like having separate feeds, like I'll screenshot what I like. I won't like what I like because I have shame. Like, I'll share certain people's things, but every time I'm like, oh, asshole, let me like it, let me like it, let me like it, and then
They
you'll start
game you on
feeding.
the algorithm. That's the
Yeah,
problem.
and it's like, I don't want my whole thing just to be ladies assholes. Not that I don't like a good asshole. I just don't want all of that just to be that. But yeah, I do enjoy just creating content or having conversations. Like, that's the good part of this whole internet thing, other than people having less shame, which I feel like they should have more shame and be more ashamed of themselves. I don't know.
Yeah, no, there's something interesting I saw. I thought this would be funny to bring up, especially on like OnlyFans and stuff. I have no idea where this article is going, but I'm gonna share it because it's a very interesting prompt. Let me present this. So it's titled, it's New York Post, Mom charging family $200 per person for Christmas dinner. Everything I do is for profit. A mother dubbed Britain's most hated woman is back in the spotlight this time for charging her family members to dine on her Christmas dinner. Carla Bellucci said she'll be charging relatives $200 for family dinner, believing that she should be compensated for the burden of preparing a meal for 15 people. It's not cheap feeding people, and it also takes a lot of time to put together a nice meal. And she won't take any criticism, telling those that disagree get stuffed with all the trimmings. Bellucci has an immediate family of 6, including her husband and 3 children, and is now expecting 9 additional relatives at her home for Christmas. They're expected to pay up front at the door. This is the lady.
Oh, that's her?
Yeah.
Oh, if she's preparing it naked, maybe I could understand the high price for it, but okay.
200 fee includes a complete dinner and 1 glass of champagne. Fuck, for only 200, you only get 1 glass. Any additional alcohol will be BYOB. She admitted that she'll be pocketing at least some of the money from the holiday feast, saying, everything I do is for profit, and my family understands that. Some relatives might be disgusted by the idea and not bother to show, Bellucci said, but if you want quality, you have to pay for it. Fuck, this lady's 42. That's not bad. And she's got 3 kids.
No, like I said, her content, I mean, if she's makes lewd content, then maybe it'd be worth it to get like a meal,
or at least
served.
for the meal prep to do like an OnlyFans for, before the family gets there.
Yeah, some sort of show, like dinner and a show. But no, I don't think that's $200. Like, I would need way more interaction.
I don't spend $200 on Red Lobster, dude. I'm not paying family $200 for dinner for shitty fucking turkey.
What I think we just bought like a Thanksgiving meal, like where they do it to go from like it's called Bill Miller's, like a barbecue place or whatever, and it was like 129 for a meal for like 4, 5, 6 people. So like 200 per person, that's not realistic. Like, unless there's some sort of gimmick, more of a gimmick to it,
Chuck E. Cheese, something like that.
Or like you put your vagina water in the stuffing or something. Like, there's got to be
That's
some
what
gimmick.
Gwyneth Paltrow should get into. She should diversify her Goop brand to food products.
And then make it all about kings instead of
Goop vape flavors. See, I should be on her marketing team.
Yeah, No, that would be great. I mean, I don't vape. I vaped one time and I started like tripping out so bad because I'm just not into. I only like prescription drugs. I don't really like
I'm gonna
non-prescription.
try shrooms well, I don't know if it's tomorrow, but I should be getting shrooms tomorrow. It'll be my first time doing illicit stuff since I was like right out of high school. Very excited. I'm a very straight and narrow kind of guy. Not even for like, I was in the army, so there's like a spot of time where I just couldn't do shit because I never know to get drug tested
Mhm.
and get all the penalties on my career at that point. And then just afterwards, like I need a job, and I usually work in like factories, so it's like I'm dealing with equipment, machinery, so I can't get busted on a drug test, especially if I have like a wreck or something, a wreck of forklift. I gotta piss clean, But I feel pretty secure at this place now, so I'm like, you know what? Let me try some shrooms. So we'll see how that goes this weekend.
Well, just be careful. I know if you do too much, it's all about staying grounded. I've tried
Yeah.
microdosing, and I didn't really feel anything, but I think it's because I was taking too little, and I'm kind of a big person, you know.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm definitely gonna start small. I hung out with a friend in Columbus, and like some like THC drops or some shit,
Mhm.
and I just did like 2 or 3 drops in my mouth. It's like I felt maybe a little buzz, but again, I'm not a drug user. Like, even when I drink, it's like I really slammed it today. I had 3 beers. Like that's my kind of life. I actually enjoy the taste of beer, so I don't like slam it. And then I just think about like the carb intake, the calories. I'm like, I'm already fat, man. I don't need to like get into being an alcoholic, I just think pragmatically and just like if I'm actually like a good drinker, how much money am I wasting on my like increased tolerance? Like it's just stupid. That's money I could spend on another issue of Isom. Got to be smart.
Contributed to that $99 a month fucking
Exactly. How am I going to afford that if I'm fucking slamming a 30 rack every day?
and then all the perks you get, like 30% off the store and 30% off the store. I don't know what else you fucking get with it. For $100
you can be in like a
you can pre-order
market
30
research
30 minutes before the actual order comes out. You could pre-order first. You have 30 minutes ahead of time or something like.
Dude,
What?
Todd McFarlane didn't do that for Spawn Kickstarter for like an exclusive toy, And this is like a 30-year proven vet. He's like groundbreaking in the industry. He is a competitor. He's like a president of Image Comics, and he is making Batman toys for DC. Like he's balling. Whether or not he's doing great with the toys themselves.
Wouldn't he draw Spider-Man like a certain way? Like
Yeah, he's kind of changed the game with Spider-Man. That's what like really got him in the spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. But yeah, that's really it. I just thought it was funny. Oh wait, she became an OnlyFans model, but quit in 2022, claiming it became too tacky for her.
Oh my god!
She first made
these
headlines.
Kind of people need to be knocked down. Too tacky for OnlyFans.
In 2020, the mom of 4 brat, she blew 10 grand on Botox and veneers instead of buying her kids Christmas presents. She made headlines in 2019 when she sparked outrage after admitting she faked depression to get a nose job with taxpayer money. I don't know. It's, you got socialist healthcare.
Yeah, she's in Britain, right, or something. She's
British. Yeah, no, Britain got a lot of ire recently because I don't know the state of this kid, but this kid's baby had some major disease or some shit, and I guess Italy, they were willing to like take this patient for like the cost or whatever, but UK has some like law where it's like you can't seek medical intervention somewhere else outside of their socialist system, and so they're pretty much like state force them to like take their kid off this life support or whatever.
Cool.
I don't know. Yeah, and it's like, yeah, no, that's a very touchy thing, but I'm actually in agreement with the UK because like given the state of like you have socialist medicine, no, we're not on the like. Because probably it would still be on the dime of the UK. I'm assuming maybe that's the issue. I don't quite understand it, but it's like, no, we're not going to keep wasting money on a fucking baby. I know it sucks, but like think of all the money they've wasted that could go to saving other people. For
Yeah, I'm not against
you know, the
that.
money spreads versus
Mhm.
one kid on the government's dime. Like, you know, yeah, this is the bad, the not necessarily bad, but this is like the moral dilemma of being like a good government. I'm not saying UK is a good government or bad, but like good governance is like the goodwill of the people. And so if you have like a Terry Schiavo case under socialist medicine, what a waste of fucking money that you could save worthwhile people that will actually high percentage of getting better and contributing back to society and making a difference versus this baby's probably going to be like a ward of the state its whole life getting, you know, welfare.
Yeah, when you were first mentioning it, I was under the impression that like, oh, that sounds on paper that sounds fucked up, but then it was like, oh, if this is on the dime of the country, then yeah, I could completely understand that and see the point of view. Like, I could see if the parents are like, oh, we'll pay for it, or we'll GoFundMe, or whatever the fuck everyone does nowadays, because no one knows how to save for, you know, a rainy day. But like, yeah, if it was, oh, we want to try this, but it's gonna be Britain paying for it. No, I'm sorry, can't allow that.
Yeah.
You know,
That's a detail I don't know if it's like, well, we'll pay Italy out of our own pocket, but the UK is just like, no, you can't because you're like,
yeah,
oh, you're as medically you're a ward of the state as a
Mm-hmm.
citizen, and so we're not going to allow it because it makes us look bad.
yeah. I
If you
completely
go
get it.
elsewhere. There's also that factor that may be at stake too, but generally, I'm in agreement with the government on this one. As sad as it is for, you know, people concerned, it's like, well, you know, you got to when you're the government, you got to think like Spock, you know, for the many, the few, or whatever
Yeah.
that quote is. Like, yeah, it's fun too because people love touting like this is what, you know, good fiction is and the morality, blah blah blah. But then it's like, well, when we do it in practice, oh, you don't like it all of a sudden, you know. Always
Well,
like
yeah,
anti-woke people.
Star Trek's just better than Star Wars in general.
No, it's not.
So.
No. They do different things, honestly. And I gravitate because of that to Star Wars, because Star Wars is about two things chiefly. This is why like Andor sucks. No, it is good, but it's not good Star Wars. It's a good like experiment, thoughts, whatever. Ricky will hate me, but we have these conversations. I'm like, no, Star Wars has to do two things. This is why the Mandalorian supersedes Andor. So no matter how good Andor is for its like in-depth film style and thought process of like the rebellion building and trying to like subterfuge to build themselves, it's like the main character like no one gives a fuck about. And why don't you give a fuck about him? Because you know where he ends up, you know who he is from Rogue One. But Star Wars is about two things. It's about the cosmic good and evil fight. I don't like black and white morality, but like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings portrays them in their films pretty well. They're emotionally gratifying, the dichotomy. Even though I like shit like Attack on Titan where it's like nuance, where it's like no one's really good or bad. It's all gray. Yeah. If you actually do that with Star Wars, though, it would like undermine the audience investment. They want to see light and dark, good and evil.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you know,
They
that's
want
how you,
the hero to win and the villain to
not necessarily hero win, but you want that dichotomy. As much as that annoys me myself, like I understand this, but yeah, it's about the cosmic fight and the players involved trying to up the ante for their side, light or dark, and it's always an ebb and flow because it's really like this, you know, Eastern perspective philosophically of like there's no light without the dark. It's, you know, vice versa. The other thing is fathers and sons. It's a boys franchise. It's got to appeal to boys, and it's got to have some sort of father-son thing, you know, whether it's Luke and Vader or like legacy, you know, it's just like sins of the father or the legacy of the father. You're in the shadow of him, you know. That's why Mandalorian's great, because the first two seasons it's all about like this guy breaking his codes that he's lived by, he's been saved by. Arguably, he's seeing the real purpose of the code he's lived in that saved him. and doing that himself, even though he's going against the whole efforts of his people and putting them at risk by association. That's why Mando's endearing the first two scenes, because you care about Din and Baby Yoda, and him bucking the trend with all of his dogma he lives by for this surrogate child. That's why it works when everything else, like Ahsoka, just has no meaning, because it's like, what is this? It deals with the Force, but like, what is anything? And we know where episode 9 ends up, so like, what was the point of the show? Filling in the gaps. So lackluster. This is the two things. Star Trek is ultimately like, this socio-political show, and this entity of more or less unified Earth interacting with the galaxy's other political agencies. That's more or less the point. That's interesting, I guess, but it's just, when you get the context of space and shit, it's like they present it pretty boring. It's like, all right, yep, go to warp speed. All right, yep, we're coasting, and oh no, the Borg or Klingons. Oh man. Get your phasers out and beam me up, Scotty. Like, it's doing a different thing. It's for the realm of sci-fi. Like, if you did Star Trek but like Game of Thrones, that would be cool. If you did like how you could do it would be like Thor as a template. Where it's like they are cosmic, but they're medieval ultimately. That's how for me, Star Trek could work, because you could have the equal parts of like interesting action and sci-fi tech with the politics and multi-ethnic aliens and races and all that. It's just, yes, something about Star Trek's just like, it's lackluster.
Do you think they deserve to be in the same, like, this versus this though?
Yes.
Or,
yes.
like
yes.
Star Trek versus Star Wars, like they do rival each other as far as like reputations and all that.
Yeah,
like,
Star Trek definitely, it's like the Beatles. Like, the Beatles are overrated as fuck, but I wouldn't have Hendrix without them being the first volley, in that realm. So yeah, you wouldn't have Game of Thrones without Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is inferior in every way to Game of Thrones, but it's like, without it, you would have no George R.R. Martin to make this story to go beyond it. Because like, that's what's cool about Game of Thrones is there's this clip I found where George R. Martin's like, I love Lord of the Rings. Clearly he does, but he's like, it just ends where it's like, yeah, and Aragorn rules for like 200 years peacefully, and that was it. And then he dies, and it's just happy. It's good stuff. That's the end. And he's like, there's all these like races, and you've had a war, and you got all this like bad will of just different tribes of men ultimately, like Gondor versus Rohan. You got like ultimately just tribal people in Isengard area and shit. You got people in other continents that have been mercenaries for the Dark Lord, a magical entity. You got wizards from heaven. You got Balrogs. You got orcs, goblins, dwarves. Elves have left and left care into man. They just fucked off to Valinor or whatever. And that's kind of the impetus of Game of Thrones, where it's like it's really like the politics of like medieval fantasy. It's like, well, no, it's not just going to end peacefully and you just roll and it's just that, because you just think about being a mayor in a town with one race of a species, and all the conflicts that come up where it's like, you were not raising our taxes for the school, at town halls and shit. People get fucking pissed. Or like, oh, this company's going to leave if you unionize, and they're going to bankrupt the town because it's all hinging on this company for the factory in town, And yeah, then you think of the big picture of multiple alien species. So yeah, it's just, I think something like Game of Thrones gets it right. Star Trek, it's like the idea is cool to me, but it's just not portrayed well. And then you get shit like The Expanse, where it's just like, what is this dour shit, man? Like, it just feels like no joy at all in this universe.
Do you think Isam's gonna do that? Isam's gonna be like that for a lot of creators. Like, you know what? This is shit, but I can make something better and it's gonna like catapult other creators to
Well,
create.
yeah,
something better.
that's what The Last Jedi did. Like, that's how me and Ricky got on YouTube, was getting the community pissed off about The Last Jedi and finding people, and we meet up in the chats and stuff and start doing it ourselves. Spawned a lot of creativity. Not as creative as I used to be, but you know, I'm in this realm because of such a bad thing. I saw him. I really think that's my thing about Eric, and he. So I think, you know, I don't say this lightly. Not that I necessarily care, because I'm mixed, but I don't really have a team, you know. But like, I generally don't like coon. That's usually like such a political pejorative of like, you're conservative, so you must be whitewashed, or you know, you don't really understand. If you're only really black, you would not vote for Trump or whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
You know.
Yeah.
But someone like Candace Owen, like that is a coon. She's a gay op. She's owned. She's just now kind of breaking out of the Jewish conservative matrix of Daily Wire and hitting back because it's Israel stuff and the Shapiro commentary. But I think Eric, not himself is a coon, but he is utilized like a coon. He is a unicorn.
Oh, coon?
Yeah. He is, you know, everyone is grabbing onto him and trying to prop him up because he's like, well, he's like the one black friend. And he says all the stuff we say, but he's black. And it's all rooted in the victim culture. So everyone's like, I hate victim culture, I hate cancel culture, hate wokeism, but it's still a factor. We're in a world where it's advantageous to use whatever demographic minority to prop yourself up in the grand collective. And it goes on the right as well, you know, where it's like, this is the currency. You have to be a little more sneaky, I guess, as conservative. But Eric is that for them. That's why they got to push him, because he's the great trump card. He's like, well, racist. I support ASOM, a black business creation, you know.
But then that's how you could tell also how he doesn't really, like, he doesn't care about his own product because he probably didn't create it. You know what I mean? Like,
I really think it is from his mind. I think it is all because, like, it's very clear. Darren and ISOM, Santuan, they're all shades of Eric.
well, then it just sounds like he pulled it out of his ass last minute, and he didn't really, like, you know what I mean?
I agree.
Didn't anticipate it to become so big as it did for whatever reason. Because, like I said, I read, and I would like to call myself a writer, fancy myself a writer, not an artist or anything. But looking at it, it's like this was what we're talking about. This is the big deal. Like,
well, it's crazy too, because like you're talking about, like, will this inspire people? So this whole Eric thing in ISOM has made me. I've already had the meth gear idea for a long time, and it's funny, like, you know, people like, you're just veto myself, whatever, but you're just jealous, blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, no, jealousy is a great motivator, and I see someone with this fucking level of funding, whether it's genuine or not, or if it's just like he preyed on people's sentiment and like, we're going to take a shot across the bow, woke Marvel, and then they didn't really know what they were getting, and now they just got to stick with it, you know, because of like the controversy to build up of like, yeah, we're fighting them, and what do you hate black business owners, you know. They have to stay heels in, but it's like just plot hole issues of like trying to create Meth Gator, like the story. It's like, all right, he transforms from this, you know, ultimately like radioactive meth, you know, sci-fi meth, and it's like, well, why does he turn, but not the people that spilled the meth on him? Because they were smoking it before they ever got there to accidentally turn him. They're like, that was already a plot hole where I'm like, I don't even know if this could be a thing, because I have an idea of an image, but I have no explanation. So I had to think of an explanation. And then I had such an in-depth thing. I had to research science. Like, this is too, I got to back up, think, like, keep it simple, you know? So I make a vague sci-fi plot.
Struck by lightning like the Flash or something?
When I end up backing up, making a vague idea of like, all right, well, it's like a super soldier serum that's blended into this meth. Well, why would they do that? And it's like, well, they can't, on paper, the government can't research this. It's not allowed. It's against ethics, whatever. So it's like, well, they off the books team up with like drug dealers to elicit this to tweakers. They smoke the shit. If it works through the means of ingestion and they go berserk, well, it's a tweaker that went crazy and the cop shot him. So no one's going to bat an eye at a meth head going crazy getting shot by cops. So it's a great fucking alibi. And this idea gave me this bigger Breaking Bad potential plot in the background of like the whole idea of the meth and its utility. Ultimately, this is all in like news makes an article. Cops say don't flush your meth, you'll make meth gators. I get an image in my head. I get stuck at the start of how does this work? And they actually have to think about it. And then thinking about it makes the world bigger potentially and give me all sorts of avenues to play with. And so it instantly became a like not a joke idea. Just like the image came in my head, that's silly. And then it's like starting to think about it, it becomes a serious comic. It's not a joke comic. It's not a parody. It's just an outlandish impetus and name, but it's a legit comic I'm trying to make with real nuance. And I started thinking about like, I want a pinup on every issue, like a Bond girl, you know, but it's like, how do I, if this guy's, you know, humanoid alligator is just roughing it on the edge of town, he's like open secret in town, he's a weirdo. How does he pull in ladies? And it's like, well, easy. He contracts prostitutes. And so that's the first girl in the first issue is Shelby the hooker.
And do you already have how this character, have you had him drawn out or is he already drawn?
Yeah, the slideshow intro, those are like art pieces I had done.
I don't know why I'm just picturing, you know, the alligator boss from Ninja Turtles. The one you fight in the train.
I've only read one issue of Ninja Turtles. That was the first issue. I like the idea, but ultimately they're just like kid ninjas, stupid shit. You know, they're not.
It
really
is
serious.
wacky. It's so wacky.
It's not a serious comic. I'm actually going serious.
No, but that's what I pictured. That from the video game when they go Turtles in Time and they're on the train and they fight the alligator boss. That's what I was picturing. But
let me save a few pictures. And
I know Ninja Turtles itself. I don't know how that became so big because it's such a wacky, you know.
So this is one I had by a Brazilian artist, and it was like 500 units of Brazilian money, but it's like $100.
You get a hooker there.
That's why I was saying like Brazil's cheap, so Eric is like cheap as fuck with who he's contracted. Let me see.
But then him to be building his whole thing all about top quality, top writing, top this and not on an unwoke agenda, and then it's all like budgeted, made in America looking crap. Like it doesn't look good. I'll say it's not even made in America.
So this is one of the first posters I had done. This is Meth Gator and Shelby the hooker in front of the CG Mart. Yeah, it's a couple more. Let me see if this is it. This is a fan art.
I might have seen that one on the Twitter somewhere. Yeah, it looks badass.
Yeah, that's just a fan art, but I'll probably make that a cover. I'll probably get it colored. Let me see.
You need that same table that's in every Isom house. You need to put that in every cover art. That same couch.
That's fucking great.
That same warehouse.
Let's see what this one is. I got a newer computer, so it's like I don't know how to fix my like Windows to let me move that one. It's not it. Maybe this one. And I got a new piece, but it's by the time I got it, like I hooked this artist for a cover, but I'm like, actually, I'm gonna make this for issue 2, so I'm not gonna show it yet.
Hell yeah, you got to keep them wanting more.
Right? Yeah, I'm not gonna shoot my load that quick, but yeah, it's like like the story builds and builds. This is the pencils, but this is another Brazilian artist I got. And it wasn't that I was looking for a Brazilian artist. I just saw his stuff, looking up other stuff, and I hit him up, and it was like, again, it's like $120.
Yeah,
With
no, I'm
shipping.
sure there are some
Pretty cool.
Brazilian artists that care. It's just you would think with, like, I don't think you have $5 million, $6 million lying around.
Right.
You would kind of go a little bit more name dropping or name, like, than just hey, I'm gonna get it from this artist that doesn't have any hair, is hairless. Is that what Brazilians are? Hairless?
No?
Oh, okay. I'm thinking of the women, the Brazilian wax when they don't,
Wax. Or the bikini wax.
yeah, when they don't have hair. That's what I'm thinking of. I thought all Brazilians are hairless.
So, I don't know if you want to stick around for this. Me and Ricky do this thing. So he didn't grow up Christian or religious at all. And
No.
yeah, and so like it started with like talking about Star Wars, because we love Star Wars. And I was telling him about, like, no one talks about it, but like Vader is really a meme of two Bible stories. He's the fall of Satan in the prequels, but he's also the prodigal son. But it's an inversion of the prodigal son, because, like, Star Wars and its origins all about like mythology class and Joseph Campbell studies and whatever about like the monomyth. And typically heroes have to slay their father in some way, whether it's metaphysically or literally. The villain's usually like father related in a lot of stories. And in Star Wars, the subconscious profoundness of the original trilogy is it subverts the prodigal son, where it's the son saving the father who is before deemed lost in a lost cause, and that's what's profound, even though people don't understand it necessarily outright. That's why it sticks out so much to people. That's why it's so iconic. And I explained that. He's like, wow, no one's ever said that. And then like just other stuff comes up, like watching Game of Thrones. He's like, oh, like, when are they talking about the gods? Or like, why would everyone just go along with like this tyrannical king and shit? And it's like, well, it's medieval fantasy, and medieval fantasy based on medieval reality. And so Martin's actually brought that religious aspect where it's like, it's an implicit, you, the peasant, follow the cruel leader because God wills that leader to be in power. To question is to question God, because medieval times generally till the 1500s was all Catholic, and so anyone in the hierarchy was christened by the Pope, or they would be knocked off by the Pope in his mechanizations. Whether that's good or evil, I'm not arguing that. It's just reality, though. And so anyway, I got him the Action Bible comic. And so we read it, a couple chapters every stream now. So if you want to hang out for that,
that's cool. Yeah,
awesome. I just didn't want to bring it up, and you're like, why the fuck am I here? What's these guys reading the Bible?
Well, I grew up very Catholic. I was raised there. I got my communion, and then circumcised and all that 9 yards. So I was very Catholic. Still kind of not believe in it, but I think it has like good rules in it, like to kind of follow as a guideline. I wouldn't say like I'd want to stone people to death, or I think cutting off a dude's hair will take away his powers or whatever of strength, but like I think it has a good sense of morality in it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a good introductory kind of like, all right, these are generally some rules we can follow. So, Bible time, people. Here we go. Where's the clip? There it is.
I have a question for you.
Shut the fuck up! Say Christ is Lord. Say Christ is Lord. Say it. You say Christ is Lord.
That begins our next Bible entry. It is rainy days based on Genesis 6 and 7. Do you want to start, Ricky?
No, you usually voice God and stuff.
Well, it's a character.
All right, yeah. So, okay. Your wickedness cannot continue. Turn away from your idol worship. Return to God, who created you and gave us everything we have.
God didn't give me everything. I have. I stole it. Ha!
Little troll.
Noah thinks he's better than everyone else. But Noah remains true to God. One day, God speaks to him. I'm sorry that I ever made humans. They are corrupt and violent, so I'm going to destroy them. Noah, you have been faithful. Build yourself a ship because I'm going to flood the earth. Noah obeys and begins building an ark. He follows the instructions that God gives him.
That crazy old Noah thinks that that crazy Noah thinks he can float a boat on dry land.
What will he think of
next?
When the ark is finished, God tells Noah to take 7 pairs of each kind of animal and bird that is used for food, and 1 pair of each kind that is not for food. Noah and his family enter the ark.
Now I've seen everything.
Old Noah spent 120 years building that huge ship, but he never thought about who would close the door.
Either he's crazy or he knows something we don't.
Don't you start preaching like Noah. A few days later, suddenly, lightning flashes. The windows of heaven open and the rains pour down. Floodwaters rise rapidly.
Maybe Noah was right about his ark.
Don't worry. There's never been enough water here to float a boat before.
Yes, but it's also never rained like this before.
Look, the door of Noah's Ark is closing.
But who is shutting it? Could it be Noah's God?
But it is too late. The people who have spent their lives rejecting God now see that God has finally rejected them, and the rains pour steadily for 40 days and 40 nights. Oh,
there's more on the page.
Water flows over the land and rises above the mountaintops. All the earth is covered. Only Noah's great ark survives. The flood destroys everything evil. As the rain pours without stopping, Noah and his family work hard to care for the animals in the ark.
Have you done fed them cows and sheep yet, Shim?
Yes, I just finished. Now I'm going to feed the reptiles.
And now I have to clean up after the cows and sheep, and then the reptiles.
One day the rain stops, but the ark still floats above the flooded earth. Land is nowhere in sight. All right, so next chapter. A rainbow promise. Uh-oh, we're getting into the LGBT part of the Bible. Oh, man. Month after month, Noah's family waits.
We've been done in this ark for 6 months now. When will we ever get to see that land again?
It could be another 6 months. And what will we find when we finally get out? Finally, the water level begins to drop. The ark comes to rest on the top of the mountains of Ararat.
I'll send out a dove. If it doesn't get back in time, we'll know it has found land.
The dove disappears from sight. Noah watches the skies. After long hours swirling through the sky, it's like, I don't know why I made me think of Elf, where he's like, the swirly, twirly gumdrops. Long hours swirling through the sky. The dove returns a few days later. Noah again sends out a dove, and it again returns.
Olive branches, that means some land must be dry again.
7 days later, Noah sends out a dove for the third time. This time, the bird does not return. It has found a place to nest. Really quick, Ricky. So if you notice, 40 days and 40 nights. 40 is a common number in the Bible, repeatedly. And then also 3. 3 is always an important number in the Bible.
That's a drink too. 40. They pour them out for their homies. Oldies.
Yep.
Very, very NWA.
3, and then of course Trisekis.
Noah and his family are anxious to leave the ark. They look every day for signs of dry land.
Look.
Sorry, I had to partake of some flood water. A little over a year after the flood started, Noah steps out onto dry land once more. Only 8 people have survived the flood. Noah, his wife, their 3 sons, and their sons' wives.
Notice they didn't say their sons' husbands.
The warm sun on my face, the grass under my feet. It feels wonderful.
Everything evil is gone. Through us, God is giving human beings a new start. We must obey God and teach everyone who follows us to obey.
Oh, ground, how I missed you.
The ground can't speak back to you, dumbass.
The first thing Noah does is build an altar. He thanks God for his care and asks God's guidance to help the family make a new start. Then God makes a new wonder in the sky. Rookie.
A rainbow flag.
For as long as the earth lasts, there will be a time to plant and a time to harvest. There will always be summer and winter, day and night. But never again will a flood destroy the whole earth. It's beautiful. God is good.
Whenever people see a rainbow, they'll remember God's promise that a flood will never destroy the whole earth again. Right, Thanos?
In the years after the flood, Noah's sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their families
What?
That's what they said. I'm just reading it. I didn't write this.
Goofy names here.
and their wives, Yaira.
Jobber names right there.
Now I get it, Angus. Now I get it.
Wait, what do you mean you get it?
You say the Yaira's name's kind of goofy. When you put it next to these names, it fits right in. I don't know.
But yeah, that was my argument. Renzo is the names are stupid as fuck. Norfolka, Altona, Isom. I was expecting it to be some sort of like Islamic name because it sounds like Arabic, Semitic, you know.
No, it sounds dumb.
Right. Yeah. It's the
Shem
name of
Ham. Shem and Ham.
Right. It's funny as fuck that the Jews have this story of one of their forefathers being named Ham, but Ham is, that is haram. You can't eat pork. He's like, why is it named after a Bible guy? Yeah, and their families move down to the river valleys. Their families grow larger. In time, the mountains and plains are dotted with the tents of shepherd tribesmen, and the rich river valleys with growing cities. Oh man, the next story is going to be the Tower of Babel. I can't wait. What's funny is because I bought these on eBay because it was like $20 at Hobby Lobby, and I'm like, I'm not paying full price for this. Mine's actually a gift to someone. It says in the book cover, "Dear Katie, we hope God blesses you as you read these stories. Love, Uncle Paul and Aunt Susan."
Wonderful.
And the person's like, fucking put this shit on eBay. Let me get a few bucks. What's crazy is this is like hundreds of pages. It's a big.
I believe it.
It's all one artist. Sergio Cariello.
The way you're narrating it reminds me of my name is Calypso and I thank you for playing Twisted Metal. Like it's so the art
I never
stuff.
just play that.
You never played Twisted Metal? Oh man.
Yeah, I know Anthony Mackie's supposed to be in some Twisted Metal show, but it's like I'm not watching. I don't care.
It was all right. It was okay. I liked it because Nev Campbell was in it.
Well, what I'm interested in, it's funny like rereading and stuff because like there's a lot of like I know a lot of key stuff, especially being Catholic. You know, you read the whole Bible in like 3 years more or less in church, but it's like, wait, where did all the people come from afterwards? Because they're all from one people. So, you know, I know the Tower of Babel is like more or less an explanation of how everyone's different. But it's like, you know, all these plot holes.
A lot of plot holes.
If you take it literally at every turn, like Cain leaves and then starts a whole nation ultimately. It's like, where did he get,
your brother's alive.
Where did he get a wife? If they're the first people, that would be his sister or like niece. It's just, yeah, when you get into science and you start thinking about the like genetics of stuff, it gets very slippery slope. You know, like talking about like multiple genetic bottlenecks. Like if you just look at cheetahs apparently humanity helped revitalize them somewhat, but they're all like inbred because they were so dwindled down. So it's like, think about humanity. Like, I know you can more or less track like a lot of races are more or less inbred to some degree in their pockets of the world, you know. But
when I was going to be the godfather to my niece, I had to get confirmed, right, by the Catholic Church. So I had to take this like 6-week course that was supposed to be like sped up, and there were a lot of random walks of life there. People that were getting married, people that wanted to be, you know, part of the church to get confirmed. So we were doing this like expedited study of the Bible, and we get to the point where it's like, and Jesus died and he came back 3 days later. And I swear everyone's hands came up and they were like, but wouldn't he like his body be rotting? Or wouldn't like, you know, he start decomposing? And I'm there like, why is this the unbelievable part? Like you just heard how he turned water into wine. You just heard
flows and fishes.
Yeah, all the other shit he fucking did, like walked on water, all the other crazy, wacky David Blaine shit he did, and this is where you're like, I don't think this is believable. And I even like raised my hand because the woman was having trouble trying to like tell everyone.
No, just go along with it. Shut up.
Yeah,
shut up.
how to explain it, and I raised my hand. I tell everyone, well, if you want to believe, you have to believe everything. If you want to believe, you know what I mean. You can't pick and choose.
Well, yeah, I thought that was kind of the point of their faith, sort of. They just kind of take it as it is, I guess.
Yeah,
they think it is.
And she was like, "Thank you for explaining that," because I don't think she wanted to say it so explicitly. Like, hey, you got to take it all for what it is. You can't nitpick what you believe or what you don't. Because if this is what you're thinking is unbelievable, just wait till you get to like.
I can get by Noah parting the sea, but I can't get by them getting lost for 40 years.
Moses,
whatever. same thing.
You kind of take it how it is. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry. You know, if you don't believe all the errors in ISOM 1, take it how it is for ISOM Part 2. We're building a universe. No, I don't know. Whatever you want to.
Until it's built, there's going to be problems until then.
So I was very interested getting this to see what would be missing because it's for kids. It's a starter Bible more or less. So this is in between the lines, rookie. All right, so there is what is called the Curse of Ham. So again, that was one of the sons of Noah. So this is a Wikipedia page. So
the death metal band, Curse of Ham.
Is that an actual band?
Chris of House Ham.
It could be.
Sounds like a Game of Thrones house. Chris of House Ham.
In the book of Genesis, the curse of Ham is described as a curse which was imposed upon Ham's son, Canaan, by the patriarch Noah. It occurs in the context of Noah's drunkenness and is provoked by a shameful act that was perpetrated by Noah's son Ham, who, quote, saw the nakedness of his father. The exact nature of Ham's transgression and the reason Noah cursed Canaan when Ham had sinned has been debated for 2,000 years. The story's original purpose may have been to justify the biblical subjugation of the Canaanites to the Israelites. Ah, interesting game. Attack on Titan. The Eldian persecution. It's like all rooted in the history. It's like, why are we doing this to these people? Well, because but in the later centuries, the narrative was interpreted by some Christians, Muslims, and Jews as an explanation for black skin, as well as a justification for slavery of black people. Similarly, some in the Latter-day Saint movement, or Mormons, used the curse of Ham to prevent the ordination of black men to its priesthood. Nevertheless, most Christians, Muslims, and Jews now disagree with such interpretations because, in the context, Ham himself is not cursed, and neither race nor skin are ever mentioned. All right, so this is from the Bible. Noah began to be a husbandman, and he planted a vineyard, and he drank of the wine and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brethren without. And Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it upon both their shoulders and went backwards and covered the nakedness of their father. And their faces were backward, and they saw not their father's nakedness. And Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done unto him. And he said, Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. And he said, Blessed be the Lord of God of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. God shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. The objection of the story may have been to justify the subjugation of the Canaanites, the descendants of Ham, to the Israelites. The narrative of the curse is replete with difficulties. It is uncertain what the precise nature of Ham's offense is. Verse 22 has been a subject of debate as to whether it should be taken literally or as a euphemism for some act of gross immorality. In verse 25, Noah refers to Shem and Japheth as the brethren of Canaan, whereas in verse 18, they are identified as his uncles. The Table of Nations, it's a genealogy thing, presents Canaan and Mizraim among the sons of Ham. In the Psalms, Egypt is equated with Ham. The treatment of Japheth raises questions. Why is Yahweh named as the God of Shem but not of Japheth? What does it mean that God will enlarge Japheth? Well, of course, it's Viagra. And why will Japheth dwell in the tents of Shem? Further difficulties include Ham's being referred to as the youngest son when all the other lists make him Noah's second son. Biblical scholar Nahum Sarna says that the biggest challenge of the narrative is why Canaan was cursed rather than Ham, and that the concealed details of the shameful, indecent incident bear the same reticence as Reuben's sexual transgression.
You think in 2,000 years is how they'll be with Isom? It has been highly debated for 2,000 years whether
we have looked within the text of the Rippaverse
whether that doorway was meant to be there or an elevator. Some say the perspective, and I don't know.
So I remember hearing about this before when I was a kid. This debate with my parents about this thing. What was the sin he did? So here's some of the debates. Voyeurism being one.
Nice.
Here's the instrument: paternal incest. Ancient commentaries have also debated whether seeing someone's naked is meant to have sex with that person. The same idea was raised by 3rd century rabbis in the Babylonian Talmud, who argue that Ham either castrated his father or sodomized him. The same explanations are found in 3 Greek translations of the Bible, which replace the word see with another word denoting homosexual relations. The castration theory has its modern counterpart in suggested parallels found in the castration of Uranus by Cronus in Greek mythology, and a Hittite myth of the supreme god Anu, whose genitals were bitten off by his rebel son and cupbearer Kumarbi, who maybe that's where cum comes from, who afterwards rejoiced and laughed until a new cursed him. Another one, maternal incest. Some scholars, such as whatever, have suggested that Ham engaged in intercourse with his mother, Noah's wife. Support for the theory can be found in verses such as Leviticus 20:11. And the man that lieth with his father's wife hath uncovered his father's nakedness. According to this interpretation of the story, Canaan was the offspring of the illicit union between Ham and his mother, which accounts for the curse falling upon Canaan rather than Ham. Disrespecting a religious festival. The Book of Jubilees depicts Noah as planting, harvesting, and drinking wine in accordance with the stipulations of the Torah, such that Noah's drunkenness appears less problematic and Ham's offense appears more problematic than in Genesis. They write that the timing of Noah's viniculture and the procedure of Noah's sacrifice match Second Temple Judaism interpretations of Leviticus. Thus, the guide claims Jubilees alleviates any misgivings that may be provoked by the episode of Noah's drunkenness. In this light, Ham's offense constitutes an act of disrespect not only to his father, but to the festival ordinances. And the last one is castration and paternal incest. Medieval commentator Rashi from the 1000s writes of Ham's offense against Noah. There are those of our rabbis who say he emasculated or castrated him, and there are those who say that he had homosexual relations. Rashi cites Sanhedrin something, which adds that those who believe that Ham had homosexual relations with his father agree that he also emasculated him. So Noah was the bitch. He was the bottom. This is the shame of Ham. Rashi continues, what did Ham see that emasculated him? He said to his brothers, Adam, the first man, had 2 sons, yet one killed the other because of the inheritance of the world. And our father has 3 sons, yet he seeks still a 4th son. Huh. Interesting. There's this whole thing about how this was used to justify slavery because they deemed Canaan as a black guy.
I vote for the first one. The other ones sound kind of gay. The first one,
voyeurism.
Definitely. Yeah, voyeurism, and then I'd go for paternal with the mom. Everything else, gay.
It is also been recently pointed out that in first millennium Babylonia, looking at another person's genitals was indeed regarded as a serious matter. Other ancient commentators suggest that Ham was guilty of more than what the Bible says. The 2nd century Targum Angelos has Ham gossiping about his father's drunken disgrace in the street, a reading which has a basis in the original Hebrew. So that being held up to public mockery was what had angered Noah. Ham laughed at his father's shame and did not cover it, but laughed about it and mocked. So I guess Noah had a little dick, and Ham laughed about it, is one interpretation. On the street, Ham be saying this shit on the street, it is what it is. My dad's got a little pecker.
Pour 40 out to my dad. My dad's
my poor mother. Of course she asked me to conceive. It's a miracle Noah had 1 son with that.
You call me Ham. My mom was going to call me Hog. Porker. I don't fucking know.
You got a workshop. You're on to something. You're on to something.
Bad,
I like
even
it.
I'm like,
Which one? Voyeurism was your favorite. Why is that?
Yeah, definitely. That's top tier, and then you go like to sex with the mom next, and then low tier is like seeing your own dad's dick, and then calling your own dad gay because of his small dick. I'm definitely like.
I like the idea of making his dad the bottom bitch. That's the curse. He's like, gets out of the drunkenness, like, whoa, why did we go to Bangkok, son?
You wouldn't have been cursed if I was on top.
They turned on the radio and listened to, was it Sexy Red, Pound Town? And then he like regretted it afterwards.
They're listening to Unchained Melody. Oh, my love, my darling. A hunger for. That's from Ghost. That's
okay, I was looking it up. I'm like,
that's the song Patrick Swayze.
Yeah. With the pottery. Yeah.
Unchained Melody by the Righteous Brothers.
Oh, so do you ever, like you're saying you like Melanie Martinez, do you ever just like watch girly shit?
Define girly shit.
Well, I mean
It's
Barbie.
kind of hard. It's kind of hard to like general now because you don't know what gender is what. Like My Little Pony, I watched it with my niece. I really did like it. You know, when we would watch it, I consider that kind of girly. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a girl show. What's funny is because it's from the same people who did Powerpuff Girls, so I was actually interested to watch it. And I watched it like, oh no, this is awful. This is like girly shit, you know? Like Powerpuff Girls always got made fun of by my mom that, oh, that's gay. You know, that I like. It's like if you watch it, it's nothing for girls besides
no.
girl characters. It's a boy
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
It's clearly a boy show. I've introduced Rookie to it, and I think he likes it.
No, it's good. At least the
yeah.
old one. I don't know about the
Yeah,
newer
I heard
one
the
they
new
tried to
one's woke and
revive.
gay. So
Yeah.
never
Or even
liked it.
like it's because I have my niece. She's younger, and I would watch a lot of the shows she would just watch whatever was in, and My Little Pony was in. Steven Universe, I
No.
consider like super, like it was ahead of its time because it was very woke, but it did it in a subtle way, like not like right out
not
right
very
out
well.
at you.
Okay, yeah, I watched the first episode because I love Adventure Time, and I know that like this is like a creative extension from like the group of creators. This is like one creator, producer, whatever show ran that show. So I was interested. I heard all this good stuff. People love it. There's this weird big fandom for it. And then I started reading about it on Wikipedia, and it's like, oh no, this is like a fucking propaganda show to like
Yeah.
subvert gender and shit.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, no, like I used to work in a movie store, and this is when I started like awakening to atheism. I started getting heavy into like kind of radical rhetoric. So like I'm in a weird state now where I don't deem religion evil. It's at least a byproduct of our intelligence, and so yeah, I don't have like a negative view necessarily. Christians will think it's negative. It's like, well, why don't you just kill yourself? And it's like, well, no, because this is the only life I got, so it actually means something. That's why I actually have more meaning in life than you. That's just writing a check to go to heaven.
It's very Christian of someone to say.
Yeah, no, it's funny. You denote like more or less a nihilistic perspective that nothing really matters. That there's no cosmic good evil purpose. It's just you live and die, and you're dirt afterwards. And I think, why don't you just kill yourself? Since nothing means anything. Like I'm an animal with at least DNA-based programming to live as an animal,
Survival.
to function, just instinct alone. And then we have thoughts and interests, and so we go be just as basic human experience without God. You still have purpose, regardless if there's an ultimate purpose. They don't get that, and so you used to think, well, if there's no God, then you just kill yourself. What stops you from raping people? It's like, well, there's just society, there's laws, there's all this keeps you in check without God necessarily.
Just because I don't believe in a higher power doesn't mean I'm like just a horrible person or like a feral animal,
It's kind of revelatory about religious people that they think, well, if I didn't have like this magic man looking down on me, I would instantly rape and murder.
The way I see it, I'm not atheist. I do believe there's a higher power, but do I know what it is, what it could be? No. Will I ever know an answer? No. But I feel like there's someone that's like, you know what I mean? Like a higher being, not necessarily one God, not necessarily a whitewashed God, a Jesus, a Buddha, whatever. But I feel like there's a higher power somewhere doing something or not necessarily watching everyone, but like just out there. There's got to be more to the universe.
Yeah, I don't know. Like so for me, it's like I like shows like Attack on Titan or Game of Thrones or whatever. Something like Saving Private Ryan. You seen that movie?
Yeah, not a while, but I have.
Like there's like the German upstairs, and he ends up like killing one of his squad mates, and the guy's too much of a pussy to like pull the trigger. And I saw someone share that picture in this like tweet prompt where it's like share someone that isn't the villain but is the villain in a movie. So someone shared like Dumbledore, which I've watched Harry Potter, but I don't really get the context in depth to understand that tweet. But then someone retweeted it and had a picture of the pussy from
Saving Private Ryan.
Saving Private Ryan. And it's like, well, no, he's a pussy. He's not a villain at all. You know,
No.
He's just not made for war and can't
Yeah.
handle. Even if it's to save his friends, he can't pull the trigger. And it's like, I understand it.
It's
I
like calling Frodo's a pussy for not taking down the Balrog to save Gandalf or something. Like, he's not made for that. Sorry.
Yeah. I like shit like that. I like fucking indiscriminate death stories where it's like, oh, the hero, we've been following this guy and he's going to make a difference. He's trained for this. And then bam, an arrow fucking hits him in the head. Never actually gets to like, wield his sword in combat. It's just like those depictions in fiction they resonate because they're revelatory to me about life. You know, you think about God and justice and everything has its plan. It's for good. And then you get like the extremes, like the starving kids in Africa, or, you know, as atheist counters, you know, where it's like, oh, what about the starving kids in Africa? Or what about like these random rapes or whatever? You know, I just go for shit like, I don't know, the kids of a terrorist, supposedly a terrorist, that are being watched for months by a drone that gets snuffed out eventually. And we're like, yeah, execute, shoot the fucking missile, blow up the house because it gets the target. What about all the other people unrelated necessarily to the mechanizations? Think about America, all the blood on our hands as citizens, because we're living high in the hog, arguably because the CIA goes to all these countries and makes coups to slaughter people to keep their countries in turmoil and unable to prosper to our level with their resources. You know, the Amazon's dying because of all the cattle they're cutting the forest down to make a lot to try to build an industry of agriculture and livestock. And you could argue that's on our hands because of like capitalism. You know, where we think everything's just endless, but it's really, it all comes at a cost somewhere. You know, and we're living high on the hog. Even if we're on welfare, we're poor, we're struggling in this country. We're still living fucking great compared to almost anywhere else. You know, I like shit like that where it's like, or like Breaking. If you watch Breaking Bad,
Yeah.
all right, Walt. What is the death count of Walt? We don't even know, because
How many is he killed?
not just that he's killed, but like his industry. How many?
Oh,
deaths
you don't know.
by the wayside. Like the girlfriend of Jesse, that's
Yeah.
on his hands.
There's a
Which
lot
is
on his
interesting.
hands.
Which is interesting because every season the show builds, he does something horrendous, but you're rooting for him because you're like, you want him to like do good and make this worthwhile and get out and make the money for his family before he punches his ticket. You know, very interesting show. But like that plane crashing, and he saves that teddy bear eye as like a memento of like, I'm responsible for this. You know, like I enacted this change in the world. No one's gonna know it was me, but it's really because of me, because of the daughter who makes the dad go crazy that causes the plane to crash. Those kind of deaths, those are meaningless. There's no great purpose. It's just, you know, it's just that people die for no fucking reason. I love shit like that. Those are the things that inform me there's no fucking God, at least the way we like to conceive it. Now, could there be a grand scheme or at least a domino flicker of a creator that flicked the first domino and just sits back and watches, see like what happens? I think if God has the power to create all this shit, he has no foresight necessarily. He's just like, I'm just gonna watch, you know.
I can see it more being on an accident or something. Like he spilled his wine and then he's like, oh shit, and then something grows out of it. Oh, that's a planet now. Fuck.
Yeah.
All right, I'll back away. Hold up.
That's the way that's kind of the way I see it. Where like we're looking at an anthill and we're there like bringing the ants sugar or killing them or bringing black ants to fight with them. Like
of course they're black.
Yeah. The black ones are what instigate against the red ones. No, but I see a higher power like that there's maybe someone out there that's kind of watching us or orchestrating, or you know, like not necessarily a god, but a higher power that's smarter, stronger, live longer, shit like that, you know.
They really wanted the Yankees to win this year.
Yeah, no, I just think like
No, I see what you mean.
there's so much indiscriminate death and pain in the world that there's no good entity. You know, the idea of like there's a great meme where it's like the meme of there's an atheist and a Christian and they like just get stranded on an island and the Christian prays to God and the atheist makes a raft and then someone comments like, see, God sent the atheist to make the raft to save them. God works in mysterious ways. And it's like, you're an idiot. Like,
well, it's like we just saw at the end of Attack on Titan without spoiling anything. I mean, there's a theme throughout the entire show anyway, so it's not really spoiler with it, but like the type of death that they they have it be, you know, quite intense. They show you different sides and perspectives of things, and it's like, you know, it's pretty much, you know, well, is it okay? They think that the enemy is like horrible for what they do, and then by the end of the season, it's like, well, you have to do certain things, you know, to like, there's all these different things to save your people or to do your stuff, do whatever that is good or you think is good. What's the option we can get where there's the least amount of death, essentially? And it takes something horrific to get other people to work together and act as well. So it's just kind of like, sometimes there needs to be tragedies to have good stuff happen. You know, that's I feel like it's part of what happens. Like if there's no problems in your life, that would be hell in a way. Like I think there's even like a Twilight Zone or something like that where this guy he's like winning everything with gambling. He's winning whatever thing he's doing. He's just doing whatever he's doing. He's winning no matter what he's doing. And after a little while, he's just kind of like, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever.
Dude, they did that in Infinity War.
He was told he's in heaven, but now he's in hell. Basically, he's like just
I've seen that.
Tortured.
I've seen that episode. He's like, man, tortured. This is really boring. He's like, this is really boring. Well, why is heaven so boring? And they're like, oh, you thought this was heaven? And then it ends like that, like, oh, I mean,
but it's the kind of thing where it's like, imagine if you won everything. Imagine if you just have everything you need at all times. It's like, well, I mean, yeah, that's ultimately the goal, but I mean, getting it is part of what we live for. That's you know, that's kind of the argument.
DiCaprio lost 9 attempts at the Oscar before he finally got it for being a vegan but eating a raw fish and a fucking
imagine if he got
liver.
it though. Imagine if he got an Oscar the first time though. How boring would his story be? How like
or would he
to
have,
what it is?
Would he have cared to make any of those other movies like be as good as he was in any of his other movies if he had gotten his Oscar the first time?
Yeah.
Or even LeBron, regardless of what you think of him, like, you know, he carried.
I don't want to talk about him.
It's like, well, it's like, you know, compared to Jordan, like, you know, he got his fame and he did really good, but like he individually, I don't know, like Angus talks about this a little bit, like LeBron's probably a better player. And, you know, he, like, if LeBron would win right away, his story wouldn't be as interesting as it took him a long time to get some players around him that could, you know, in a way, assist him with a win. Like, finally, like, if
Michael Jordan,
it'd be like, whatever, you know.
My argument ultimately, so like, you know, I look at Michael Jordan in high esteem, not necessarily his basketball. I don't really care about basketball. It's fine sports watch, but his person, like watching The Last Dance, really informed me on the person he is, and his drive, and it's like I want to dig in and find that, you know, to strive for success. He is, aside from Bill Russell, he's like the epitome of like the greatest of his sport, you know. But I argue LeBron is better as a player because my thing is, you know, you get this whole backstory of like why Michael is the competitor he is, and he'll compete at this level over like quarter games with his security guards. Like he just wants to win at everything. It's the competition he loves. It's not really the accolades of like the money or whatever. It's just he has this fucking fight. And if he would have lost his first championship against the Lakers or whatever, who would he be with the mindset he has? I think it would have really crushed him. Maybe he'd have a great story of like coming back and, you know, finally winning it, you know. But I think it would have really like derailed who he became. LeBron James went to, I think, 8 or 9 straight championships and lost the majority of them and kept coming back every time. Or like Jim Kelly for the Bills, losing 4 straight Super Bowls. First one's a point on a missed field goal. in a back and forth struggle. And then the next ones are all blowouts. But he keeps coming back. And he never got it, but he kept going back. And it's like, that's a better player than fucking Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman's trash. You know, he's on a stacked team. He's a Hall of Famer because he's got 3 rings. He's not a great quarterback. You know, I like those players, and I think like that means more when you see someone that like comes back for the hurt. You know, that says that's why LeBron is a better player on top of his physique. He can play every position. Michael Jordan is limited. LeBron could be anything, but it's also his mind. Say you want about him as a fucking controlled Chinese operative or whatever is political crap. As a player, that is like the greatest of all time thus far, in my opinion.
I was wondering what would break first, your spirit or your body.
Dude, I fucking love Bane in Dark Knight Rises.
Victory has defeated you.
So many, dude. You know how many times I've rewatched that movie and I still catch little things? Like, it took me years to figure out the joke at the beginning where he's like, it'll be extremely painful
for you.
For you. Those guys got jokes.
I only watch the fight scenes now. I don't watch the whole movie over and over again because it's a long movie.
The whole movie is fucking brilliant.
I just watched the fight scenes, and that one fight scene where, you know, he's just like, oh, so you think the darkness is your ally? You really adopted the dark.
Dude, that fight is so good too because there's no music. It's just the fighting sounds.
And the dudes are just like, they're watching. Like, they're not even, they have guns. They could help shoot. And they're just there like,
he's got it.
Like, just, they're just like just watching all nervous, you know?
Dude, it's brilliant. Hardy was brilliant, even though, it's not like Latin Bane, whatever. I think he did brilliant. It's amazing. Hilarious. It's a different interpretation in a like hyper realistic, plausible storyline. But it's funny. Rewatch that movie. Think about Chaz Seattle. That movie is really a prophetic movie because it was about Occupy Wall Street people. So I mean, Chris Nolan's conservative in the grand scheme of things. And he loves the idea of the noble lie and order and justice and whatever, even if it's ultimately a lie. This is the good of mankind to live this lie. That's his story of Batman. And it's so brilliant. The big world political commentary he's making with it. I love it just for Bane and his plan and whatever plot holes. I don't care. It's awesome.
Yeah,
not as good as Dark Knight, clearly, but Bane is such a better villain, and he is the hubris of Batman biting him in the ass. It's the full comeuppance of Batman. That's why it's a brilliant movie to me because it's like it rounds out the story.
I remember when I took a college class, I think on like film. They talked about the Dark Knight and how, it's called the Dark Knight because he's the Dark Knight that does the things that have to be done, but don't necessarily aren't done right. And then how Harvey Dent's the White Knight and, like all this analytical shit of it. And I'm just there kind of half asleep because it's like an 8 a.m. class. I'm trying to
fucking the worst for a deep class.
It's like 8 a.m. or 9:30. I'm there like, what the fuck? I got work tonight at 1 o'clock after school, But yeah, like it's just crazy how, like you said, these movies can be made, these mediums, these comic books, the Bible, even, and how they're analyzed. Not necessarily maybe how the way they wrote it, but people can analyze. You're like the Barbie movie, like you said, how it could be analyzed, and it might not even be, oh no, I just wrote a movie about Barbie dolls. Everyone has their.
Well, no, she wrote it as a feminist thesis. She said
well,
this, so it's funny that the biggest takeaway is like Ken. It's a man.
Yeah. It's just how people interpret art and how it makes them feel. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's. Some people might like Isom. They might like shit, We
I really do.
They usually don't like saying what they like about it, though. Typically.
Yeah, I legitimately love this series so far because it's so bad, and then the reception of all the shills, of all the weirdos, where they can just say, "Well, it made money. It's on time." Like I made a meme. I just happened to see this, like I think Vox post screenshot of an article where it's like. Essentially the article is about, like, even though like Gen X or Gen Z, whatever, has grown up with the internet versus boomers, the younger people are more susceptible to scams. And it says like the title's like Gen Z is more susceptible to scams or whatever. And so I just changed the picture on the article to ISOM, and people are fucking living. You're like, I looked this up. This is fake, you liar.
What do you mean it's on the internet? It has to be real. What are you talking about?
It's funny because EVS retweeted it, and he says not nice, and then I retweeted him and said he didn't say not funny, and then he liked that. So this is before the blow up with ISOM with Eric and breaking up or whatever. So it's like, oh, that was a little prophecy. I didn't see it. That's fucking funny. Like you can see through the lines of this whole debacle before that EVS is like there's that Flashcast stream when Dick and Vito came on later, and EVS is, I want to find that clip and see the full comments, but EVS is trying to give him constructive criticism. And he's like, I read it twice. Like he wasn't like, I love Avatar 2. I went to the theaters 3 times to see it. It was like, I read it twice. It's like The Last Jedi. I was like, no. Like, I thought, did I just see that wrong? And so I saw it again. It's like, no, it's still not good. That was the tone of him saying it. And I'm like, Cyberpunk ain't perfect. The sequel, in my opinion, really sucks. But the art's amazing. Cyberpunk 2 sucks. But I'm not deconstructing it because it's like, I'm not offended, and EVS isn't like, and his fans aren't like attacking you and trying to like, oh, you said this about Cyberpunk, I'm gonna post it on my Twitter because I'm cataloging all the haters. You know, his own fans have generated the Detractorverse or whatever we're going to call ourselves, the Bunny Army. You know, it's like
I put it like he is his own Nick Fury that assembled the detractors essentially.
Well, it's not even smart because like him versus Dick and Vito could just be like, you know, Lex Luthor, Superman. They could just keep like orchestrating this, playing into each other, you know, where it's like we don't like each other, but we can help each other for our respective audience and the overlap and have an outright beef. But he tries to play like one-sided. They're attacking me. I didn't ask for this.
I was about to say, because I've seen Vito's tweets, like the majority of them, and he legit says like, I want to help you, like by critiquing your comic and telling you how you can be successful. At least that's how it was at first. Maybe, you know, he's changed his path, but it sounded like he meant to critique it, not to talk shit, but it's like, hey, how are you doing this with this much money? Or why are there so many of these mistakes when you had a time, you know, deadline? Like, I'm trying to help you, but you're taking it up the ass. And that's why they're like all attacking him. And then you have, like you said, all these people just assembling, wanting to fight this crusade. And it's just like, I don't know.
Shield
like,
him! Shield the millionaire!
To me, that's where I get into my voyeurism, where I just like watching as this unfolds, you know, like there's my
this is what they do.
Monetize the haters or whatever the fuck. Like, I don't know.
Oh, it's fun. The last time he's done that. I don't think he's done a monetize the haters since this whole debacle, and now the lawsuit and the grave visiting, and it's like, why would you share that? Of course someone's gonna fucking troll you and go to the fucking grave.
He's doing it himself. Yeah,
when you tell people on the internet not to do something, or that you don't like that they do something, what do you think they're gonna do?
Dude, yeah, my name on Twitter is what it's not just Black Angus Reviews. It's Broke Black Angus Mountain Reviews, because someone in this beef I have with Eric July on a tweet thread back and forth, where I'm like, it wasn't even related to him, but he was tagged earlier, and I said something like, I said earlier, like, just because I was like, Marvel may be woke, but I saw him still shit. And like Eric's tweeted like, ha 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 on it. And then later we had a back and forth in an unrelated thread where it's like, if ISOM had a Marvel logo on it, y'all would all fucking hate it and rip it to shreds. But it's Eric, so yeah. And so then he's like, what makes you so hurt by people actually liking this universe? And so I give him a detailed analysis that shows, like, I've read your fucking books. And I'm like, well, like, this makes no fucking sense, dude. How is this and that a thing? You know, this, you know. And then
perhaps happen to what?
Yeah, and then he's pretty much trying to like
a
be
pro- a
cordial and say, like,
comprehension
could it be that you do not comprehend, or that you lack the
He wanted you
comprehension
to admit
skills?
that it could be a comprehension problem.
Right. And so it kept being like, all right, I've already asked you something, but okay, I'll entertain a next question to show my good faith. And then, like, no matter what you quantify, you're never good faith because you don't like it. And so, and then the Rippaverse Goalpost tries to share my video to like blast me when I'm just reading through my back and forth thread and commenting on it. Where it's like, this is the problem, Eric. Like, and it's like, I'm pretty tame. You know, I'm not like a crazy guy. I'm just like, yeah, your book sucked. This is funny. And they're like trying to blast me. And so people were like all after me and shit. Someone called me like, oh, I'm Black Angus, help me. Look at my stuff. I'm Broke Black Angus Mountain Reviews. And so I'm like, ha! And I made that my name because it's like, that's
First of
fucking
all,
legitimately
He told me
funny
that, and I was
play.
laughing my ass off.
It's a
Like,
legitimately funny, like, I can't knock you for like what a creative.
that was a good one.
Brokeback Mountain won awards.
It's a
It
good
won a-
movie.
It won
I own the
Academy
movie.
Awards.
It's a good movie.
So Brokeback
Um,
Black.
Isn't
Yeah,
the guy
Broke
who
Black Angus Mountain Reviews
isn't
is
the
like,
guy
that's
who
a funny
did
joke.
the Incredible
Yeah.
Hulk? Didn't he direct Brokeback Mountain?
Yeah,
Ang
Ang Lee.
Lee or something?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, I was telling Rookie, yeah, the guy who did Crouching Tiger did Hulk 03, which we love. And then he's like, you know, I want to do something else. And he makes a gay cowboy movie.
And he wins
Well, when he
awards.
told me these were the same directors, I'm like, how? They're all so
It's all over the
different.
place.
Like,
This is great.
it's so different. But then I guess it's like, if you look at the director of Hangover and the Joker, it's like, well, I mean, I guess it can happen. Like, oh yeah, and
Well-
look at Lord of the Rings. Yeah, that was a good director, but look at other shit he's been attached to. Not
The
so
guy
good.
who directed Mad Max directed Happy Feet. I think he
What?
wrote and directed. Yeah,
George Miller did Happy Feet.
He wrote and
That's
directed
funny.
Happy Feet.
That is
He's only-
crazy as fuck to
That's
watch
funny.
Happy Feet and then be like, oh yeah, he also made Fury Road.
Dude, and that's like all he's done is just like those two franchises.
He's behind Happy. That's crazy.
I
That is a
love
very
Happy Feet.
cinematic movie. I mean,
I
I
love
can't really
Happy
watch
Feet.
it now. That was one of the first movies. It's funny because when I was as a like young adult or kid, whatever, I turned against like Dora and Happy Feet. Those are my examples of like back then what I would today call woke media. It wasn't necessarily that Dora is inherently a woke show. It's not. Maybe now, if they're still going, they probably do some woke shit. But I'm like, at the time as a kid, you had the War on Terror, and then the other big political thing was illegal aliens. And I'm like, this show is ultimately I was saying this show is a gay op. They're trying to give you a happy, they're trying to give the children of today a happy meme character of Mexicans, of what are the illegal alien masses. You know, they're making people acculturated to a happy medium that represents this. And so when you're my age, you're going to be against immigration control. And look where we're at. It's all because of Dora. All this flooding the border. Thank you, Dora. You've done your work. Happy Feet, you got a fun musical about penguins. And this odd penguin can't fucking sing, so he learns to dance. You know, he adjusts to his limitations. It's a great
penguins are all about their heart songs. That's the whole
it's
idea.
a great beta film. You know, the great inventions in life usually happen from beta men that have to subvert the alpha status. You know, religion probably came from betas. The priests of ancient times, they weren't the greatest hunters, but they're smart. And so they became the historians, the storytellers, and lawgivers, and that becomes religion. You know, that's my anthropological assumption. But then out of nowhere, they shoehorn in this global warming and overfishing the penguins. It's like kids should not be concerned about the penguins and their arguable plight because fishing, you know, because
I hear you.
like that is a wokeism shoved in, a political messaging shoved
it's a
into
good movie though.
It is a good movie until that, and so I can't rewatch it. On top of it's kind of cringe, like Elijah Wood as a penguin and his like gay fucking dance. It's too cringe for me as an adult to enjoy.
Yeah, but it's a good, like, to me. It's the better alternative to what is now. Like if I want to put on something,
Surf's Up's the better penguin movie.
I don't know.
Oh,
how do
it's
I
so much
delete-
better.
Let me turn this off. No. How do I?
Surfs Up is so superior to Happy Feet. Although, wait, Steve Irwin did voice a like a pelican or something in that movie, didn't he?
I never saw Surfs Up.
No. In Happy Feet, let me see this. I think Steve Irwin.
Maybe. Jamie, look it up. No, I'm pretty sure.
Rogan.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that same director did Happy Feet and Mad Max. That's all he's done. Like his whole career is just those franchises. Like, and that's all you need to do in your life. Why not? I want to do a apocalyptic movie about fuel and all that, and then let's do one about penguins.
Trev the elephant seal is voiced by Steve Irwin.
He's I think a god amongst men, like Steve Irwin. He's one of the few people I think that like are like legitimately holy, kind of like what's his name, Mr. Rogers, like that legitimately wanted good for the world, you know, like never did a bad thing. I feel.
Yeah, I meant to address this earlier because we were talking about the Bible, but we got on good tangents with Lorenzo. No, I'm not watching Godzilla Zero or whatever in theaters. I love Godzilla, but if I'm not mistaken, this new Godzilla looks like another remake.
Well, it's a
of the
Japanese one.
original.
It's a limited time in America anyway. Limited.
Well, no. I'm just saying, if it's what I'm thinking, this is ultimately like another remake of.
It's
the
another
original
new one
Godzilla.
for Japan.
It's another new Godzilla 54, and it's like to quit. Like Godzilla 54, Godzilla by himself was cool one fucking time, or the second time in regards to Godzilla 98 to try to start a Godzilla American franchise. But I don't.
Everybody hates that one though, so
I don't care.
I'm just saying that's why they don't continue it.
Japan remaking ultimately Godzilla 54 like just really irritates me. Even if it's good, it's like it feels like remake. The problem of remakes today. It's just like leave shit alone. Like King Kong, Peter Jackson is such a different movie from the original King Kong 33. That's worthwhile. I don't just want, oh man, there's Godzilla stomping on Tokyo or whatever again, and there's no foe for him to be ultimately at least nature's response for the behalf of Earth, So
I think my favorite Godzilla
I'll see it on streaming maybe, but definitely not watching. I'm actually going to go probably see Napoleon after work tomorrow.
The best Godzilla is that one when he does that flying drop kick, that like
On
he's
King
floating.
Kong?
Yeah, no, that one where that robot is like holding one of the dudes, like a tag team wrestler. Godzilla goes like this, and he fucking does like a floating double drop kick to him.
Huh. I don't know if
Man.
are you talking about the old 60s ones like Jet Jaguar and shit?
Yeah, those old ones.
It's funny because when I was a kid we had like you probably know, being in Texas, Hastings.
That sounds familiar, but
It's like it's like Hot Topic and Barnes and Noble's mixed with Blockbuster. It was like you could rent movies, you could buy movies and DVDs and CDs.
That doesn't ring a
buy
bell.
Books. They had new and used books. They also had like McFarlane toys, all the like weird adult collector toys back then before it was more commonplace. It was a catch-all. Yeah, it was a chain in the Southwest, Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico, and I think Arizona. So Hastings was awesome. They went out of business eventually, but that was the awesome shit in that region. Because I'm from Oklahoma, so I'm a Hastings boy. And so, when I was with my dad on weekends, we'd rent usually Godzilla movies. That was my thing as a kid. So I saw all these old ones, stupid Kung Fu Godzilla. But the only one I owned was the one with Megalodon and Jet Jaguar. And I fucking hate Jet Jaguar. But that was the only Godzilla I had, so I had to make do with watching fucking Jet Jaguar. I think Gigan comes in at the end, I think. But I always hate because Megalodon's not interesting. Jet Jaguar's just a stupid robot man. So it's just like kind of takes me out from Godzilla, And it's like, what the hell? And then you play like the game. Did you ever play Save the Earth? Godzilla Save the Earth?
No.
Ooh, that was my shit. That was my first PS2 game. So I got the PS2 late when the PS3 was coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And my first game was Save the Earth. And you play all these different characters, and ultimately it's just a smash 'em game. You run through, you pick a character, you got a couple available at the start. You run through and beat everyone, and then you can unlock more characters. And you just do the same thing with every character, and you can get like Space Godzilla, etc. I guess there's like a dragonfly, like Pokemon looking bug thing. Of course, Megalodon's in there. Jet Jaguar, he can shrink, so he does this like power up where it's like he's big Jet Jaguar, but then he like shrinks to human size and then like zips around and fucking fucks you up as like Ant-Man essentially in the context of the game size. So it's
That's
like
OP.
he was one of the most irritating ones to fight because it was like you can never like deflect or
It's
counter
like
that fucking
Yoda and Soul Calibur, and the hitbox is gone. There's just no
and,
hitbox.
Mothra. When you fight Mothra, you fight two Mothras because you fight Larva Mothra, and then at some point when you beat the fuck out of him, he cocoons, and then you gotta fight a whole new life counter, Mothra with his flight. It's so irritating. But it's cool to fly as like King Ghidorah. Love King Ghidorah. You should. Yeah, if you like a more, I guess retro game. It was just a game for me when it came out, but. Yeah, if you love Godzilla, you might look into. They have different. I think you got 80s, 90s, and 2000s Godzilla to play as.
And now, if I want to buy it complete in box, it's like $800.
Let's look this up.
random
Actually,
game.
check eBay.
That's ridiculous how physical media is so expensive when you can literally just download a ROM of shit. Like I get it, but it's annoying at the same time.
Ah, crap! I spelled it E-Arth. 2 A's. Hold on. All right. First copy on Xbox, $40, $25. One without the original case, $10. So it looks about $25 to $50. A new one sealed is $200.
God damn, that's crazy.
Xbox 9.6. They're fucking grading games. That's fucking deal.
Yeah. Everything's graded now.
$500 for a graded. There's a Japanese import, a different cover. It's $40. It's pretty cool looking. And there was another game. There was like Save the Earth. I think it was just PS2 and Xbox. And then there was another Godzilla game that I wanted. Godzilla GameCube. It's funny because I wanted a GameCube for the longest time as a kid because this was only available on GameCube. It was Destroy All Monsters. GameCube looks like it's more or less the same game, but
just a slight difference.
Yeah, it's just a Nintendo game instead of. There's one
no
thing
blood.
Showing it on Xbox. Yeah, it wasn't. It's just a rated T game. It looks like so. I don't know. Yeah, it was just an exclusive. So
green blood.
Yeah, I really hate Nintendo. There's nothing because all their shit's just like kiddie shit, So it's just like I want, it's like Disney, and then you got like Warner Brothers, cartoons.
Yeah.
Like, you got Mickey or you got Bugs Bunny, and then kind of more edge. I was always that kid. I wanted more edge, especially with like crazy Christian mom I had. Everything's gotta be nice and cute. The Precious Moments figures. If you go to like a Christian store, they got the sappy little angel. Fucking, I hated that shit.
Cherubs. Since I have my niece, I try to stay connected with those
softer
kinds of things. Yeah, like children things. I know about them, but then like she's kind of getting older. She's like 14 now, so she watches anime. So that's kind of why I watch more. That's why I watch more anime too, because like you could see a cover of it, and I'm like, this could be dirty. I need to like watch it, like to make sure it's actually for kids and not for a different audience, even though it looks like a cartoon.
You should watch Bible Black. I think that's what it's called. It's I found it because it's got like Fuda shit in it. It's awesome. I love the ladies of the cock.
I hear you.
It's like my favorite genre. Hot old ladies. Love hot old. So, are you a Cowboys fan? You're in Texas.
Yeah, I enjoy being disappointed all the time. I'm not.
I'm a Philly fan, so I'm loving every year y'all build up. We them boys, and then oh man, you lost the first game of the playoffs. It's great. Every time you build
Yeah.
yourselves up, you fucking fail.
I
It's so great.
when I would like work around people, it's always about the Cowboys, and I don't care about football. I just want them to have fun. I just want the teams to have fun and play.
With all their millions at
I
stake.
just want the good guys to win. That's
The
it.
good
I don't care
guys,
who
okay.
wins. But yeah, I'll talk about the Cowboys because I'm here in Texas. Like, that's the big deal. And love them or hate them, whatever. They're a money making franchise, right? They make a lot of money, even if they don't make a lot of wins nowadays. But yeah, they apparently, it's always like that. They're yeah, it's this year. What's this year? You've been saying it's gonna be this year for the last 10 years.
30
Like,
years. Yeah.
yeah.
It's been great as a Philly fan. It's great because I'm not even a born Philly fan. I just, when I started watching cognizantly football, I'm in Cowboy country. I'm in Oklahoma, so I'm always seeing the Cowboys games. And I see the eagle wings on the helmet. They just looked cool to me. So I just started following. And then it's like, well, because it's like I'm in Texas area, you see Cowboys games. So I see Philly twice a year. So the wings stand out. And then I start learning the game. And especially retroactively, you learn that Philly was such like an unconventional team because they didn't have a great like roster, but the coach was so smart using his players for the skills they had. And so it's just, retrospectively, I can see like, oh, we got so close. We lost in 04 Super Bowl. And like how ingenuitive that coach is with like bullshit players that don't pan out anywhere else. And then you learn about the fandom. So it's just, there's a lot of things where it's like, I chose my fan. I wasn't born into it. So it's like more special to me kind of. But I mentioned Cowboys because Dolly Parton, I don't know if you saw, she came out halftime for Thanksgiving as a Cowboys cheerleader. Now, let me see. No, you can't see because I got a comment. Hold on. But I am an objective fan of sports outside of my direct fandom. And I can't deny the beauty of a Cowboys cheerleader so much that I got my first Barbie. Cowboys cheerleader, blonde bombshell Barbie. They are the prime. They are the icon of cheerleading. I can't deny it.
Yeah.
Anything
Dallas
else?
knows how to build their franchise. I mean, yeah, they're losing. Yeah, this and that, but it's makes money. The Cowboys.
I mean, it's great to have such an evil, rival in the Dallas Cowboys. It's like, it could be the Browns or the Vikings. Something like, yeah, whatever. They got their history. The Cowboys, like, no matter, it's the Lakers. No matter how shitty they are, it's like, no, yeah, you suck. You're probably gonna get the first pick in the draft because you suck, but we're gonna stomp you. We fucking hate you. There's no letting off the gas against you. You are the Super Bowl regardless of how good we are or not. I love it. And I hate it for the last like decade or so when Romo was there, because Romo's like my favorite quarterback all time. Again, I'm an objective fan of the sport.
Wasn't very clutch though, from what I remember.
But yeah, he there's so many years where it's like, man, okay, Cowboys coming up, and it's going to make or break the season, win the division. And then, oh man, he broke his clavicle. Fuck, he hurt his back. So we're playing John Kitna or whatever backup. It's like, I want to beat you at your best. Romo gives you the edge. It makes it competitive. And then he's out half a year or a whole year. It's like, damn it, man. Like, the win was like, yeah, we beat the Cowboys without Romo.
There's an asterisk. Yeah, there's an asterisk.
Yeah, it's an asterisk. It's like, it's a technicality now. It's like, it's not as grand as like when we're both at our best and we hate you and you're good and we're good and everything's at stake. Oh man, one of the best Eagles games I remember watching is it was like we're both in the gutter of the playoffs. So it's like whoever wins, we're all shitty. Whoever wins this game goes to the playoffs. So it's like, this matters. And it wasn't just we won. We gave them like their worst loss in like 50 years. It was like 44-6. They had like no fuck. They couldn't move at all. We scored on like every phase. it was a total annihilation. Everything at stake, and they all just completely choked. It was so gratifying. It was like, oh my god, we got another touchdown! Thank you, Dallas. Like, what a great time! Like that's when you want to embarrass a team, not when it's like, oh yeah, a 1-in-10 team comes to town and you just shellac. Like, yeah, whatever. The Cowboys. Oh, you lost the chance of the playoffs to Philly. We torched you. It wasn't even a competition. I love that stuff. But yeah, mention all that. Got on a tangent because when I say I love old ladies, it's like, no, like Dolly Parton. And I don't care if she's plastic. Like old ladies that like keep themselves fairly fit and beautiful. Like once they hit menopause, it's just everyone just like accepts old ladies just falling off the cliff in beauty. So when an old woman is like beautiful and like rivaling like 30-year-old woman, it's like that is beautiful. Like legitimately outside of like fetishizing, it's like that's actually like, that's really something to be proud of. It's rare. So that I think that's like the subconscious aspect of like why it's like ooh. Because I understand, I've been around long enough for it's like, all right, yeah, you're a young man, you only like Victoria's Secret models and Playboy shit and stuff. You get older, you see the more of the nuance of beauty. And it's the hot old ladies. That is a diamond in the rough, man.
No, for her, I'll say for her age, she looks amazing. I hate how people were, like trying to shit on her, like, oh, she shouldn't be dressing this way. She's Dolly Parton. She can do whatever the fuck she wants. Like it's not a regular old lady dressing like that and like of no notoriety.
Old ladies should work to be at her level.
Yeah. And who is shitting on her exactly? We don't really know. It's just the internet, right? Like a certain part of a demographic who are just like, oh, old people shouldn't be dressing like that. It's like, dude, look at her. She looks amazing for, like you said, even in
she's
people in
77.
their 30s. Yeah, people in their 30s, people in their 40s, 25, like can rival it, no matter, like you said, if it's part plastic, part mechanical, part whatever, liquid. She looks amazing, right? And then I don't have anything against older women. Maybe there are dudes that find that older, graceful aging, like who's the chick that was in The Shining? The actress.
Gross.
She aged pretty, not as gracefully as Dolly Parton, I'll say, or even Susan Sarandon. Look at Susan Sarandon in Blue Beetle. She's like 70 something, right? She looks fantastic.
Well, okay, Shelley Duvall. Look at her pictures from like prime time. She's got like like a like trailer trash kind of like sad pretty.
No, but if you look at her, like in what was that Hulk Hogan movie she was in?
I don't know. Let me look this up. Hulk Hogan.
She was pretty hot in that movie.
Huh. Did you grow up with this movie? Because I feel like maybe this is one of your sexual awakening.
No, I recently watched that actually.
Well, no, me and Ricky talk about this a lot because it's like, man, Twitter and Instagram really like popped the lid off of like beauty because like you look at older movies you grew up with where it's like, man, that girl was so hot, and then you rewatch it today with OnlyFans thoughts in your Twitter feed, and you're like, what? We thought this was hot? This is like a 4. We're talking about the grand scheme of Hollywood potential hot,
When
that's why I asked that.
Do you remember watching? Did you ever see the movie Little Giants?
Yeah.
Did you remember Becky the Icebox? I thought she was hot.
Becky the
And that's like looking back at me being a kid, checking out a kid. I'm not like sexualizing her now, as me as an adult looking back as a kid.
All right, let me look her up now. Whoa. Okay. Yeah, like as a kid, the thing about the other girls I thought were pretty as a kid, I'm like, yeah. I don't know.
But you get it as a kid, like when you had a crush on the
No, as like kid me, thinking of the other girls that I did like in school, it's like she wouldn't pop up on my radar. But seeing her as an adult, I'm like, whoa, Shauna Waldron. Exactly. Okay.
Or as an adult or as a kid looking at the Pink Ranger and you're like, dang, like that was always the fucking crush of many, the Pink Ranger, Amy Jo Johnson.
Yeah, no, she looks like she's kind of on like the Padme levels, like Natalie Portman. That's a crazy one. She's like 40. She still looks great.
Oh yeah, amazing. But when you go into levels of like like you said, Dolly Parton, where it's just like, dang, she looks like still good. She sings very good, no matter if her hair
Oh
isn't
man,
real.
back in
No
the
matter
'60s, she
if
came out like "I Will Always Love You." Like I watched that video of like
Mhm.
her live performance, whatever. And it's like, God damn! Like this is before any of
Amazing.
the surgery. She's just got gorgeous and legitimately. You know, I was telling Rick about this because we were arguing about like Attack on Titan music, and he like looked up the English cover, and so then I looked it up for the opening original first season song, and I was like, no, actually, I'd rather just listen to the Japanese when I don't understand it. It sounds better than this English version. Like, I'm usually one to go with the originals of shit, and so I grew up with like Whitney Houston's cover. I didn't know it was a cover, and then I watched Dolly Parton, and I'm like, how could anyone think Whitney Houston's is better? It's definitely great. It's a good cover, but it does not compare to Dolly Parton. Like the
Well,
soul of her voice, the
mhm.
tragedy of the song, so beautiful.
And to know that she actually wrote it for like the dude of the record company that she like loved that she was leaving, like she wrote it for him, like it had like a story behind it. That's
Yeah,
why.
no, Whitney Houston's like secondhand, and she was like,
Yeah,
she's an icon of like a pretty young black girl. She's got like this pure image, you know. And then
yeah.
like her to sing this song, it's about like clearly some sort of affair or like broken, you know, this like bittersweet tragedy of love, you know. Like singing that song secondhand is just like it's
And
kind of
have you
trash.
seen those quotes of people asking Dolly Parton what she thinks of like Whitney Houston? Like, oh, what do you think about Whitney Houston's version being more popular than yours? And she was like, I'm still getting checks. Like, I'm still getting paid for it, so I don't care. Like, they could play that one all they want.
Yeah, I think a real connoisseur knows which one's better, and that's Dolly Parton's.
Oh yeah, because she wrote it and she got a beautiful voice, beautiful. But again, that's subjective. It's
Yeah.
all and then even in her body right now, that's subjective. But we could all
No,
say
it's a
she does look good
scientific
for her
fact.
age.
It's amazing. It's Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady, and that is a scientific fact. Hey man, I appreciate going on. I'm not even tired. I had a great night's sleep yesterday, and I think I'm like still carrying that over today. But me and Ricky do go long with streams, especially a good guest. I'm not sure if he lost his internet, if he just crapped out or what, but he usually doesn't dip out like that. But yeah, thank you for being a guest. Great conversation. I like what I've watched of your channel. I wish I'd have watched more, but again, I'm just always spacing out. Never, I don't have the consistency watching people like I used to.
Yeah, no, I get it.
So yeah, man, thanks for coming on, and good luck with future content. Feel free to tag me or DM me of like, hey, check this out, or hey, promote this, or tweet it. Like, totally down to do it if I don't see it in my feed.
No, cool, man. Thanks for having me on. It was fun. Just shitting around.
Yeah, we
Talk-
keep it real over here. We just
Yeah.
go where the conversation takes us, and you're good guests. So appreciate it. Go sub. His link is in the description for anyone rewatching. Lorenzo Ariola, funny guy, good commentary, and good guest. Go sub to him, and see you next week.
Yeah. Later.